Hello, hello, hello. Here for the panel and the topic. I have a topic today. Let me peek at the news real quick. Clear out the tweets. Hurricane Milton. Trump is at the Coachella rally. Um, Israel's attacking things. Okay, that's the news. Let's do Twitters. Oh yeah, I want to show y'all this. This is some recent Pew polling. Let's see. Um, where's the tweet? Trump voters are more likely than Harris voters to say the threat of violence against politicians is a major problem. The left does not condemn violence. I got into this the other day on a stream where they insisted that the right was the more violent. And I'm like, no, the left has a violent streak too, and y'all don't do anything about it. Nobody says anything about it. Because it's tribalism. It's not virtue. It's not righteousness. It's not some higher form of morality. It's fucking tribalism. And you're so blind you can't even see your own tribalism. Over 66% of voters say the threat of violence against political leaders it is a major problem, while 30% say a minor problem. 36%. What's this for over here? Oh, not a problem, minor problem. Okay. So 4% of Harris supporters think that political violence is not a problem, compared to 2% of Trump supporters. 36% believe that it's a minor problem. Violence is a minor problem. Like their speech, misinformation is huge, major problem, but violence, nah. We can deal with that down the road. That's minor. And look at the difference in Trump supporters. 74% can say no, violence is a fucking big deal. We don't do that. Like that's not a political ideal here. And then we have this. While majorities of both candidates view the threat of violence as a major problem, Trump supporters are more likely than Harris supporters to express this view. That's interesting as well. Hang on, where did my... I'm trying to pull up the tweet. Well, it's hard to see, but it says if Trump wins, Harris will accept the results. Oh, that's about accepting the results. I mean, whether he accepts the results or not, he's going to have to live with the results. All right, let me see if I have any other things. Oh, yeah, they're hack. Did y'all hear about the vacuum cleaners? Um, the Roombas, like those robot vacuums, somebody hacked them and made them start cursing at the owners. They said they used the N words, um, fucking ends, etc. It was the little Roomba was screaming at people. Here, I'll put the link. So you can add that to the exploding pager story. Hey, Wombat, Zat. What lyric is that from? Is that one you wrote? All right, I think that's all the tweets for now. Um, so I just discovered just now, like 20 minutes ago, I'm on this list where I get like contracts or bids when the state needs a particular service. They send out these bids, and or these like requests for proposals or contracts or something, and you can put in a bid. So I'm on that list because every now and then they're related to what I do with peer support. And I got one today from some child welfare agency or organization. requesting a qualified contractor to utilize innovative approaches, including liberatory design, to develop engagement and onboarding materials for families, etc., etc. I had never heard of liberatory design, but it sounded woke. So I pulled it up, and I'm in that rabbit hole now. So I want to spend like maybe 10, 15 minutes max in it, seeing what it is. It's an example of more woke stuff that's making its way into our systems, because this is the state of Washington Department of Children, Youth, and Families. They are the one issuing this request for quotation and qualifications, looking for a contractor that uses this liberatory design. All right, let's see what it is. I'll start with the AI, and I have a bunch of websites pulled up too. It looks like something women and children would put together. There's not a lot of substance or like deep rationality to it. It's mostly vibe centered. It's even hard to understand what it is really. Liberatory design is a human-centered approach to design that prioritizes equity and justice. Huh? Design, like what kind of design? It aims to create solutions that empower marginalized communities and challenge systems of oppression. Why can't they empower themselves? This approach is grounded in the belief that design can be a tool for social change rather than simply a means of creating products or services. What? Key principles. Equity. It centers marginalized communities and ensures that their needs and perspectives are at the forefront of the design process. Who are these marginalized groups, you might ask? Well, I think Biden's equity order might give us one clue, because they lay out very specific categories of who they consider minorities. Hang on, that's not. I found the definition the other day. Wow, this is anyway, it's fuck. Hang on, guys. It's communities of color, but they broke it down specifically. It's not in this order. Maybe it's in the mental health strategy. Let me look it up. They're very specific about the groups that they consider marginalized right now. Hang on, I know where I can get it. I want to spend time on this because I think it's very all right, here we go. Okay, here we go. Some key populations that benefit, they're calling it DEIA now, which is accessibility. They've added accessibility to the letter. And I've seen the E and the D swap before too. So there it's this is a concept in flux, even in their own minds. But included but not limited to, here's the marginalized: Black, Latino, Indigenous and Native American persons, Asian Americans, I thought they were white now, and Pacific Islanders, and other persons of color. So then why, if it's persons of color, why do you have to separate out these specific people of color? Members of religious groups like Satanists, members of cultural and linguistic minorities like Cajuns, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, intersex, and other LGBTQI plus persons. Listen to this one. Justice involved persons. They're not going to say criminals and crooks and people in the criminal justice system. They call them justice involved. So he didn't commit a crime. He's just justice involved. He just involved himself in justice. Veterans, persons with disabilities, such as people who are deaf and hard of hearing. Why that example? Autism's considered disability too. Older adults, persons who live in rural areas, and persons otherwise adversely affected by persistent poverty or inequality. Who's left out of that category? Which categories did I not hear? I'll let you guess. Oh, hang on. Let me catch up on some comments. Oh, yeah. That doesn't surprise me. Right, and like the unhoused, or the not the unhoused. What's the new name for it? The homeless people. They used to use it with kids, with youth that were homeless because they didn't want to stigmatize young people by calling them homeless or living on the street, so they came up with this other euphemism for it, and I can't think of it right now. All right, let's get back to this liberatory design crap. So it's design. You're designing products and services. So products, do you design them differently for different, like, minority groups? They have different product design. Services, you want to tailor your services to the people that you're serving, but that's basic business wisdom. That's been around since probably as long as there's been a business. Okay, justice challenges systems of oppression and inequality to create a more just and equitable world. So this is a design process that somehow, in the act of designing products and services, you're also challenging systems of oppression and inequality. Empowerment supports individuals and communities to take control of their own lives and destinies. I love this one. I love it. I wish they would empower these people. I would like to see examples of how they are actually empowering these people instead of exploiting them for their group identity. And collaboration fosters partnerships between designers, community members, and other stakeholders to create solutions that are truly meaningful and impactful. Those are buzzwords. They have no clear, like, referential meaning. And again, business has been doing this forever, fostering partnerships with stakeholders to create solutions. Applications, creating spaces and programs that support marginalized communities. You know what? This is empty rhetoric. This sounds like empty rhetoric so far. What are some practical examples? This is those six-figure college degree people with too much time on their hands, and this is what they come up with. Housing first, community gardens. People have been doing this forever. Culturally responsive curriculum. A curriculum that incorporates the history, experience, and perspectives of marginalized communities, making learning more relevant and engaging for all students. Universal design for learning. It guides the creation of learning environments that are accessible to all students regardless. Okay, how? I want to know this because I taught special ed for several years. I want you to show me this Platonic ideal of a classroom that somehow accommodates all needs simultaneously all at once. Show me that classroom. You can't, because it hasn't been created and it's not going to be created. Because you can't anticipate every need and design for it in advance. You're still going to have to individually accommodate students. Healthcare, community health centers. Those are not bad. I actually like that idea in that model. mobile health clinics, technology, open source software. Sure. I don't know what that has to do with oppression and marginalization and all that. Assistive tech. This is just normal stuff that's been rebranded with a DEI um, skin on it to make it seem like it's something new and exciting. This is just basic like business wisdom. All right, I knew I should not have started this. I'm gonna put the link and get the panel going. My mental health has already taken a hit. I focused on it because it came from this official state like request for proposal thing. So the state itself, the state of Washington, is looking for somebody with experience in this liberatory design for this youth and family program. All right, here's the link. Come up on panel, and feel free to come and talk about anything else but wokeness. All right, there you go. In other news, we had our first. Oh, thank you, thank you. I'm the victim here. We had our first panel game. We played Monopoly for like 4, 5 hours last night. We ended up having to end the game. There was no clear winner because we used an app, and it limited some of our deal making. So we were making deals that the game couldn't actually support. But we at least pulled off a successful game. I had a lot of fun. I think everybody else did. I think we start them early in the evening next time. And I think we switch to Cosmic Encounter, or at least Cosmic Monopoly, because it'll make it way more interesting. But we're going to need an actual Monopoly board and someone to move the pieces with like a top-down camera. Oh, this will be an interesting combination. What's up, guys?
You know,
Yeah.
if you're gonna play board games, you should play Secret Hitler, if you've heard of it. I
Probably
think
not on panel. Probably not on stream.
well, okay. I think it's also called Mafia. Like that's a version of it. If
Oh,
you've heard of that.
Mafia Werewolf? Yeah, I thought. In fact, there's a game called Avalon, which is a version of that, and I was going to play it today. There's an online version that's really easy to play. You just need to get enough people.
So-
I've suggested that many times. Those hidden trader games.
Jeff, I'm not going to stay long, but I definitely wanted to be in
Excuse me?
fashion informed. Can you not hear me?
Yeah, I
Well,
can.
you're very muffled.
Oh, I
Um,
hear him.
I don't know. Maybe it's got a bunch of shit. And
Can
socks
the
and
audience hear Axis?
shirts
I
in
can
my
turn you
mouth.
up.
Well, yeah, you could.
I can hear you.
Well, I just wanted to come and stay in true to my form and completely dissipate any type of atmosphere here. Today is the 1 year anniversary of my son being picked up and charged with murder one.
1 year.
Today. So I
Well,
want
how are you
everybody.
doing?
Oh, me? Cake and punch. I want everybody in the drama squad and the metaverse and the YouTube world of phenomenal platforms to bathe and roll in the drama. Enjoy your hedonistic desires of the pleasures in the panel verse, and know that, yeah, 1 year ago today. So now that I destroyed the atmosphere, I
Like
feel pretty good about myself.
embrace the drama. Ride the drama, surf it. Drama surfers. That's what
Ride
we
the
need.
snake. Yeah, ride the snake. Yeah, it's a fucking shame, man. But hey, it's life,
That's one path forward, if when you can, I guess.
you know. But I just appreciate you letting me up, man. I wanted to stop that out because anybody's got any prayer or self-worth. You know,
What's going on with that? Any developments?
his trial starts. It's the third, fourth, and fifth of next month.
Oh, okay. Are you going?
No, I'm just gonna let him set up there by himself and fucking get railroaded.
Oh. Tough love.
Why not, huh? You know, shit. He's 30 years old. He's a man.
Hmm. Still, that's got to be hard. I can't even imagine.
You know, I had YouTube to toughen me up quite a bit. The lack of empathy, character, diplomacy, or self-respect that these people have shown leads me to determine that there is no excuse for humanity as a species to continue forward another day.
Well, I mean, I plan to continue. I'm trying to do my little part to not increase that or to minimize the amount of that.
Well, that's why I'm here.
And I think there's others out there doing similar. So I think as long as that's happening, there's that little glimmer of hope, that little mustard
Oh,
seed.
yeah. Yeah, it's just a fucking, it's a real bad uh, situation. And it's been met with less than the severity of appreciation by the YouTube community that it should have been. But since this is a 1 year anniversary, and I found out while I was doing a live stream, I figured it'd be appropriate. And I'm not going to show that on any other channel because I don't feel that any other channel is respectable enough, nor has the dignity to appreciate the magnitude of that situation. So thank you, Jeff.
Wow. Well, thank you, Axis. I
Not a
hope it.
problem, brother.
I hope it works out as best as it can.
So do I, man. Thanks for letting me up.
You too, and have a good. I hope your day is good. Vinny, you're over in Vinnyville, Browntown. You know that's like there's gonna be disputes. There's gonna be land disputes. It's gonna be like we can have the woke and everything, because that is a corrupt victory, and it's not gonna stand. That is oppression. That is colonization. You are not gonna remain in power forever. We're gonna revolt. Take back Browntown. No more Vinnyville. So you were talking about the Swedish people.
Oh yeah, I just read it earlier today that apparently some Muslims complain that it's racist for you to be against cousin marriages. First off, they don't understand racism, but second off, I don't care if your culture says it's coolio to marry your cousin. I personally think it's horrendous for the people, like both genetically and culturally and everything. And then it's it's the same as in when the British arrived in India. There was a practice of burning, like when a husband died, his wife would be burned with her. Like on the funeral pyre, the living wife would join the dead husband on the funeral pyre. And when the British came, they stopped that. They used their power and forced the native culture to change. And the Indians complained. They went up to the general secretary or whatever it's called of that area in India, and like this is our culture. These are our practices. And the British guy responded, "Yeah, that's your practice. My culture is to shoot people who burn their wives." It's like it doesn't. The argument that just because something is your cultural heritage doesn't mean that we have to say it's all good. Like, why should you be allowed to marry your cousins?
But I
Why
think you do have to try to understand it before you decide it's not good.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I think we can all agree that cousin marriage, at least let's look at Pakistan. Over 60% of all marriages in that country are between cousins.
First cousins?
Yes. or second cousin. So
What
like,
about because I know in some states allow a certain degree of cousin marriage.
yeah, I mean, usually in most of the West, it hasn't been allowed for a long time. That is honestly one of the first things the church did mainstream was to ban cousin marriages, but like because it has so many benefits. First off, uh, well, okay, I do understand why cousin marriage is the default for basically all of human history because then you have some way of keeping power in the family. You know, so like
Right, like I come from the Cajun culture is an endogamous culture, and we marry from within the culture. So I'm probably inbred myself through plenty of cousin
yeah,
marriages. We were a small group to begin with, and that was our dating pool.
yeah, it makes sense. You know, in Iceland, you have they don't use apps like Tinder or Grindr or whatever, all the different ones. They have to have their own one, which includes genealogy, so you can like find out, so you can prevent yourself from dating like your family, because there's so few people there, and they've been there for 1,000 years. So like everyone is so closely related. You need to be specific to not end up, dating your cousin or dating someone that's too close.
Well, as of February 2014, there are 24 U.S. states that prohibit marriages between first cousins.
Good, good. I mean, okay, let's look at it like this. If you ban cousin marriage, that's sort of the creation of the family and friendship. You know, in societies where you can use cousin marriages to keep power in the family, you naturally develop a sort of clan structure because that's the most efficient way of keeping the power. You have your extended family as the main unit of society.
What's the resistance to it? The genetic stuff?
That and the fact that if you ban cousin marriage, you can't keep power in the family just through marriage, and so the new core of society will be the core family. It'll be your parents, your siblings, and your friends. That's sort of the units of society, and I personally find that to be much better than just one big society because it's more meritocratic because you're forced to actually be more selective. You can actually select who you work with. You're forced to
But
work with
that's
other.
just your vision of how to engineer humans. Like that doesn't mean that the humans that do cousin marriages have to adopt that perspective.
No, no. But when they arrive in Sweden, I don't. They shouldn't. I believe that the Swedes should be allowed to say, no, no, we don't like cousin marriage. You're not allowed to marry
Well,
your
do they
cousins.
currently have a law against cousin marriage in Sweden? Because they would have to follow, like, they shouldn't be exempted from the existing law.
I'm pretty sure they do.
Because
But
if they're immigrating to a country that doesn't allow cousin marriage, then they have to be aware of that and not bring their cousin marriage to that country. Otherwise, go find another country.
yeah. Although the biggest controversy about this topic is honestly not the cousin marriage, because that's like who are really going to intellectually debate about that? It's a niche topic, but what the bigger debate is that a lot of the Muslims are saying it's racist. They are using the racist card, like all this pressure against us. It's racist, which is
That's the
like,
less interesting debate to me because everything's
yeah.
racist.
Well, it's the less interesting one, but it's the one that most people care about because it's
It's
so.
cultural. What do they call it? Ethnocentrism? It's just not. It's not understanding why other cultures do what they do, and because they look different, you make it about the way they look, which is skin color and race. But that's a low res, shallow, superficial, like initial approach. That's why I don't think it's as interesting as why they actually do the cousin marriages.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main reason is that over time the families that did cousin marriage will have more power and will propagate more in society.
How how would they?
Okay,
I'm not understanding that one.
okay. If you have a certain amount of power, and okay, there are different ways of inheritance. This is about inheritance and how the wealth of the current generation goes on to the next one. If you have a system where it gets split between all the next siblings and cousins, if you then marry your cousins, you will keep proportionally more of that power in the same family's control than if you just marry them
What's
freely.
so? What's wrong with that?
Well,
What's
there's
wrong
nothing
with families
wrong.
amassing resources and power among themselves?
It's nothing. It's nothing wrong. That's the
Oh, okay.
default of society. It's just that I prefer the model that encourages more dynamism.
Oh,
It's less stable, but I prefer the model
I
where you
prefer the
actually.
model that lets grown-ups determine that for themselves instead of having it engineered by people with strong opinions.
Sure, but again, some engineering is fun, and that's probably an example of
That's
one
where
of
we
the.
differ. A
Yeah,
Cajun's not ever going to think that. We have, having been on the receiving end of a few types of engineering, we're going to just have to agree to disagree on that.
well, I mean, actually, that is an example of this engineering because it was the Catholic Church, the big boys in the top, that decided, like, in the Middle Ages, that, huh, we don't like cousin marriages, ban that, and that was probably one of the earliest examples
Well, it
of
didn't work on
large-scale
us.
social engineering. Well, it worked in Europe. It's almost like it was non-existent. Of course, when you think about medieval Europe and absolutism Europe, you think, oh, all these royals who married their siblings. Like, sure, that's the royals, but a normal person, they didn't do that. Like, that's social engineering work. Like, look at it now. Like, I am strongly arguing against cousins in marriage, and if the Catholic Church had never banned it, I wouldn't have been against it. Like, I wouldn't.
So you've been propagandized.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, okay.
I mean, of course, but I do still agree with that side, and I think I can be objective and look at it from outside, but there is a big chance that I just prefer this because that's the way I know it.
I don't know. I'm resistant to people moralizing about things that are not obviously moral. It's like the woke problematize everything and people moralize. Some people do that with circumcision, like male circumcision. Like it's the greatest moral affront, and no, it's not. It's different cultures have different like practices around it and opinions about it. It doesn't have to be this big moral crisis unless you make it one. Or vegans do that with meat eating.
Yeah.
Technically, I did, but there was a glitch in the game that caused Spike to win.
Come on, that's what everyone says. You know,
Well,
technically,
technically, there was no clear winner because of this glitch, but it would have been me had there been. It's the
yeah.
age of narrative.
Well, haven't we always been an age of narrative?
Well, not. I think it in social media it increased because there's no way to objectively like there wasn't in the past either, but we had less access to the information that fed into the narratives, and now that we have access to all the information, we can see the narratives form and be created in front of our eyes. I think we're becoming more aware of just how narrative based a lot of our reality is.
I wouldn't even say a lot of our reality. I would see our reality itself. Just to
Well, I mean,
empty
it
them.
depends on where you want to draw that line, because
Ah,
science studies something like objectivity. So
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
still like acknowledge that there's some kind of physical component to reality that science is able to study and manipulate. But outside of that, as far as humans are concerned, most of it just seems subjective and
Yeah.
intersubjective.
That's sort of similar to my position as well. There is an objective reality, but it's an objective reality that we do not inhabit. Like each of us, we have our own constructed views of reality, which are based on the objective reality, and for the most part, do align with it. But we all have some twist on objective reality that differs between individual to individual, and that's how we have different views and everything. Like I stand on the same Earth as you, but the way I look at our planet is different. Like it's the same material existence, but there is some difference there
Because
because
you have different like genetic tendencies and biases and different nurture, like up
yeah,
early childhood experiences.
exactly. Like that. Actually, a fun example on the difference between cultures in perception of reality is honestly the rate at which certain things develop. So a big one difference people have found between the children in collectivist societies and individualistic societies is that individualistic babies usually develop self-consciousness earlier, but the collectivistic kids they become more socially competent earlier. So it's a sort of like that. That's how big the difference is. Like one culture understands all about the social life much better and much earlier, whilst the other one has this better awareness of their own existence and individuality much earlier. Like, nature is big, yes, but nurture is, we don't really know how big of an effect it has, but it's probably massive. There's so much about us that's
Because I
learned.
think you can have people that are like 80% similar genetically and still be very different people because of nurture. Like I'm even thinking, like you take a woman from the South and a woman from the Pacific Northwest, and they're both women, completely different types. Like
Yeah,
you're just going to be able to tell right away. There's something about how this person was raised that's very different how this person was raised. It's going to
like
affect their perception, their personality, their reactions, everything. That whatever that cultural filter that gets overlaid on your biology in childhood,
yeah. Just imagine one
or
like
lack of. Like people that are not over socialized, I think are going to be different than people that are.
yeah. And honestly, one of
So
the most
degree of
interesting
nurture.
examples would be like take some two Chinese twins. One twin grows up in China, the other one in the West. Like just the way they view time itself will be different. Chinese culture views time as more cyclical, circular, whilst the West is more linear. Just the way they view time itself will be so incredibly different.
Yeah.
Which, I kind of understand, and it's interesting how you can see this in history, because the Chinese history has always been, oh, a new great Chinese kingdom. It lasts for a while, it collapses. Then, sometime later, a new great Chinese kingdom. It lasts for a while, it collapses. Like there's this repeated cycle for like 3,000 years of Chinese history, whilst in the West, it seems to be something new.
Well, that started with the Hebrews and their conception of linear time or historical time with a beginning and an end.
Yeah,
But
it's
before that mythology entered, there wasn't like a way to conceive of linear time.
yeah, like the West or a lot of the mythologies are really cyclical. Just look at
Yeah,
Norse mythology. It's like the
they
whole
even call them cycles.
yeah, the whole point of it is Ragnarok is the end of this cycle, and at the end, like a new ideal god will emerge, and a woman and a man, and from that the earth will be repopulated. Like it's all these cycles. It's so inherent. Or look at Greek mythology. First, you have the primordials, then you have the Titans, then you have the Olympians. You have these. It's
And
so
then you have the
clear. These cycles.
humans.
Yeah, or in India is probably the best example. They have like mathematical cycles too. Like, oh yeah, the longest Brahman cycle is like 2 billion years or something. Like they have. I think India in Hinduism conceptualizes it as the breathing of the universe or something. So in a way, like I'm not that knowledgeable about Hinduism, but I find that really fascinating. The way they have taken this cycle concept to the extreme, because there are cycles inside of cycles inside of cycles, and they're so goddamn long.
Yeah, because you just keep resolving experience into the same patterns, generation after generation. It's the way certain individuals from certain cultures organize their sensory experience compared to others through the narratives and the stories and the mythologies that they've absorbed as babies, kids. You think this is better
Compared to what?
than
Better compared to what?
I'm trying to think what's better, this conversation or the stream or the like
The
linear
endless.
time over cyclical. Hey, OTW. Oh, you don't think that's the real Ricardo? Oh, you're right. There's two Ricardos in here. Ricardo, do you have a troll? Or maybe he just switched name. Okay. There you go.
Yeah,
Or maybe
yeah.
he's still trolling. He's building us up just to tear us down.
You know, it's good to be on your toes a bit. Wait, why do you? That's the right phrasing, right? To be on your toes or something.
Like to be on guard or
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely is. I got trolled yesterday by some there was another channel they were streaming and they were going to different channels pretending to have a mental health issue
Ah.
and that this guy was being stalked by a girlfriend and then the girlfriend shows up on the panel and tries to get on and it was a whole bit. They were all laughing about it on the stream that they were streaming it to.
I'll be honest. That does sound funny, but I don't think it's something
They
I.
were so bad at it. Like
Uh,
they got busted like within a minute. They didn't even because growing up we used to play the game as kids where you pick a name out of the phone book, and you prank call someone and you try to keep them on the phone as long as possible. And we would like compete with each other, and whoever could keep someone on the phone the longest was the winner. And so I know when you're trolling how to keep a bit going long enough where the person doesn't catch on. So they weren't very good at that part of it.
oh, that reminded me. You just gave me flashbacks to middle school. So in Norway, there's this evangelical who's really famous for being kind of psycho, really crazy. He lives in a van and like travels throughout Norway, like preaching. And the only people who care about him are middle school kids making
What's
fun of
his
him.
channel?
Levi Jensen.
Oh, I was just kidding.
Levi. Yeah, no, he's
Of course.
hilarious. Like he's like that glory, hallelujah. And
Wait, what's his? Can you spell it in the back chat,
yeah, I can.
or just say it to me?
I think it's this. Am I misremembering the last name?
All right, let me look him up.
Oh yeah, he's bald with glasses and he looks.
Did he take that from America? Like, did we create that, or did Norway have a version of that before ours even came along?
Okay? We have
He looks
our own
intense.
Bible belt. We have our own
Wow.
Bible belt. But I think he's more of that imported from America type because he's not the classical Norwegian Protestant. Either way, what I was going to mention is that we did the exact same thing with him. Like in middle school, we called him and and just talked to him. His number is public. Like he gets like 10 calls from middle schoolers every single day. It's hilarious.
Did he take you seriously at first?
Oh, I don't remember, but
Oh.
well, okay. He is. I think he takes everyone seriously. He's like, bless you, hallelujah, amen. And we're just laughing and trying to make fun, like mess with him, and it's yeah. Sadly though, I think a lot of middle schoolers went a bit too far because when he went on like his travels in his van throughout Norway, like he went to these outside of these schools talking to because like if his whole following is middle schoolers making fun of him, of course that's the people he's going to talk to. Those are the only ones who care about him. But they're mean. Like multiple times, like people just throw chairs at him and banana
Dang.
peels, and they
Banana
just
peels.
shout hallelujah to him. That was holy shit. You made me remember like a whole sub
They
facet
just
of my
throw the
middle school
peels.
experience. Yeah.
Hang on, I'm gonna eat this real quick. Hey, I got one for you.
Holy
They're
shit.
not even aerodynamic.
But they're funny. They're like the comedic fruit remnant. Yeah, so that
Here,
guy.
don't trip.
Oh, okay, thank you for that, Jeff. You made me remember a really fun part of middle school. I had completely forgotten.
Remember the fun. That's our motto here.
Yeah, remember how we prank called this evangelical Christian? Actually, what denomination is he?
He
Yeah.
looks like a church of one, if you ask me.
Yeah. Oh. He's given support for gay conversion therapy and has called the south of Norway is possessed by Satan.
Oh, only the South?
Yeah, yeah, and he is he says that homosexuality and pedophilia are equal, which are both caused by porn addictions. Oh, he's Oh, he's into the Bill Gates microchips in the blood. And he calls it the mark of the beast is the
Oh yeah, yeah.
the Bill Gates chip you get from the
I'm
corona
surprised
vaccine.
we haven't met him yet.
Oh
He hasn't
yeah.
showed up.
Oh, okay, he's 57, you know, that yeah,
He has a YouTube channel.
he does. Uh okay, but I want to find out his denomination, but I think it's probably just uh yeah,
Cause y'all burn your churches there, don't you?
a burn on churches?
Yeah. All the church burnings in Norway, that was a news story for a while here in America. The black metal
Oh, well,
fans would go around burning churches.
I wasn't around for that, but it's
Oh,
funny you mentioned because I listened to a podcast that for some reason talked about that, and that was the first time I heard it. So, like in the span of 1 week, I heard of it for the first time, and now you mentioned it again.
there was even some black metal person that got arrested. Like he murdered people or something. I forgot who he was. Yeah, I googled Norwegian church burnings, and it came up with early Norwegian black metal scene. How the black metal scene in Norway led to the arson of over 50 churches. Back in 2019. This is before COVID, I guess. They were burning the churches. COVID maybe put an end to all that.
Yeah, you know, if Norway, we had a, you know, we had some history with burning churches. We're Protestants, you know, we during the Catholic stuff, but no, I didn't not know it was that widespread. I haven't really
Well,
heard
maybe
about that.
that's what. But he has a point.
Yeah.
Is it in southern Norway?
Well, southern Norway is the
That
Bible
sounds
Belt.
pretty satanic. Listening to black metal and burning 50 churches sounds pretty
Yeah, but
satanic.
like, but like the southern Norway, that's the oil money, the old conservatives, and the Bible Belt. Like that's where all the the conservative Christians are. Like, why would that be the satanic place? If anything, if we're gonna call a place satanic, it should be Finnmark, the most northern region, which is full of Sami people and reindeer and wasteland and just depressed people. Like that's the satanic part. Why do you? Why does he choose like the most Christian area and call that satanic?
Because that's the area that all the churches are getting burned.
Well, I guess so, yeah. Although there's churches everywhere.
I know, but the Satanists are only burning them in the south. I don't know. I don't know where they're being burned. I'm just assuming.
Yeah.
Are you serious? Is this a troll? Oh, please do, Ricardo. I want to do a whole stream on it.
Dianetics.
I remember that book in like junior high school. A friend had it or something. I like flipped through it and I could tell it was it was not a scam because he probably believed it, but that it was bunk.
I have no idea what that is. Like, what is.
Dianetics, L. Ron Hubbard. It's
Oh,
the
Ron
book
Hubbard.
that created Scientology.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Uh, that is interesting. You know, we don't really have any Scientologists here either. The only. Yeah, we import a lot of evangelicals, but no Scientologists or Mormons or any of that, you know.
Not a single one.
Okay, well, of course we have. Like there are a lot of Mormons or there from time to time who come from America to preach and then they go back, but there are no big homegrown Mormon communities in Norway. We are
Oh no, not homegrown,
yeah,
for
like
sure.
there's only really three religious groups in Norway. It's the atheists, which is the biggest group. Then you have the Protestant Lutheran Christians, and then you have the Muslims. Like
Well,
those are
I
the
hate
only.
to tell you, there is a Church of Scientology in Norway, and it is officially recognized as a nonprofit corporation of the Church of Scientology rather than a religious community. That's interesting. And it says despite an estimated 8,000 individuals having participated in Scientology related courses in Norway, the active membership within the church is estimated around 100 members as of 2016. So there's more than one.
All those participants are just horny moms.
Those are the people they kidnapped off the street and made watch that movie like they did me and try to get them to sign this paper.
Yeah. You know what we do have though? We have Freemasons, which I only learned about very recently. Like, there's a whole Freemasonry lodge in Norway that's like as old as America, like 270 years old. Like that, I didn't know we had that, but apparently it's right there in Norway, and it's been sort of semi-secret, and it still has a lot of members, both open members and secret members. Like, I did not know we had agnostic cult in Norway. I kind of want to go visit them. I'm just scared if
You should
they.
go infiltrate. That would be. You could stream it.
Maybe,
Hey,
but
Joe.
you know,
Hey,
do you want? I would be worried if I don't think that would be something to do lightly, because they have been involved in, let's just say, they had some interesting history during the Nazi occupation and before, and there's a lot of rumors of
The
shady
Freemasons?
rituals.
Are you a
Yeah.
Freemason conspiracist?
Oh no, I just think they're okay. What do you mean by a Freemason conspiracist?
Do you think they're secretly influencing the world, events in the world?
Sure, but are they
Like, are they the Jews at the center of the conspiracy,
Oh,
or
no,
the
no,
patriarchy, or is it the Freemason conspiracy? Like, everybody has their own little group that's running things at the middle of the spider web.
Yeah, no, of course. Like, there's only one group that disproportionately dominates the world, and it's Western white males. Not males, even. Just Western American and Europeans.
But the
like,
conspiracy part is that they're coordinating. So people think the Freemasons are all coordinating this planned, like, vision for society, just like the WEF. So it's the coordination. Just the fact that there's a bunch of white people is not a conspiracy. If they think we're all meeting secretly in rooms and planning how to oppress everybody else, that would be the conspiracy part.
no, I don't. Okay, maybe they have plans. I know they have plans for how to perfect the individual, and they've probably had for how to perfect the society as well, but I don't think they have the amount of disproportional power needed to be in any way close to control. Like, they have connections beyond what their number count should say, but no
How do
more
you
than
know? Like, is it
Well,
just networking, like any fraternity or
yeah, I
social
think
club?
it's honestly, I think it's just the compound effect of almost 300 years of networking,
That
in
freaks
addition
people
to some
out.
shady rituals that attract new eccentric
yeah, I'm
people.
looking into this. It's called the Swedish Rite. That's the most popular one in Scandinavia.
And
The Swede-
Zat wants you to read this comment.
That's a good
Something
pun.
about
That's a good one.
deodorant.
Yeah.
Underarm.
Do you say that in English? Like, do you want a bag? No, no, I'll take it under the arm. Like, do you say that?
No, I've never
No, you can
taken
say
a
that in
bag under the
Norwegian.
arm.
So it's like, there once was a man who went to the store to buy himself some deodorant. When he came to the cashier asked him, "Do you want a bag?" "Nah, I'll take it under the arm."
Y'all are weird. Norwegians are weird.
It's
Wait.
just a dad joke. It's just a pun of words.
Wait,
Deodorant, you'll take it under the
The
arm.
Svarte Mannen, does that mean the black man?
Wait. Say what?
Go back to the pull it up again.
The Svarte man. Is
The
Svarte
Svarte Man.
black?
Does it the black man?
Svart, yeah, that does mean black, but that also means answered.
Oh,
So svarte, thus
Oh,
answered.
the man answered. The black man answered. What would you do? What if it's a white person answering? How would you say it?
Den vite mannen svarte. White. The white
I'll
man.
just stay in America.
Yeah, but that's not black at all. It's just answered. Although
It's
in
not,
Norway,
not yet.
it looks
Norwegians
like the root.
Wait
for
till the
black
Helgas get a
belt.
hold of it.
what did
That's
they say,
what I
Joe?
saw. I said it looks like the root word for black.
Oh yeah. I don't know why black and answered are similar in the region, but they just
Ew.
are. That's just
Hey,
artist.
Lex.
Maybe the fart is
My
similar
camera's
to
not
English
working. What the fuck?
swear. Like when you swear to something. Maybe there's an older sense in which to swear to something is to answer to something.
I'm gonna look up etymology because this is interesting, but I don't
That would be my
think
guess.
I don't think that's the reason. What is the Proto-Germanic, and then from this oath. Yeah, okay, it does from curse to that. Oh, you were onto something in Proto-Indo-European. It does have something to do with cursing, but it can also just mean speak. You know, talk, swear, curse. But then let's look at svart and see if where that ends up. Why is it choosing the weird from proto? No. Black just came from dirty and black. Like that's just an inherent word. We don't know where the word black comes from because it's. I mean, it makes sense. Some words are more constant than others, and so it's difficult to track down the origin of them because they are just, you know, it's black. It's very difficult to find. Like, where does that come from? It's an inherent category. It's not
Okay,
a.
but that Norwegian word for answer is related to the English swear. Is that what you figured out?
Yeah, so if you trace down the Norwegian word for answer back to Proto-Indo-European, that has an alternative meaning for swear, and I'm guessing that
Okay.
swearing comes from that same root. But I didn't
Okay, that's
check.
what I was. That's what
Yeah,
I was thinking.
yeah.
Okay.
But you had to go
Interesting.
pretty far back.
Yeah.
So like all the way back to PIE, Proto-Indo-European.
Yeah, when you go farther back, like to Proto-Indo-European, the relations between words are often a lot vaguer, and you kind of have to think like, well, swearing you might think is a specific type of answering or speaking, right?
Yeah,
And in English, but if you think of it in a more general way, you can see then how it might then just become answered in Norwegian.
yeah. You know my favorite bit of etymology, which is
Hmm.
I don't remember much. I dived a bit deep into etymology some while ago, but I still remember that I tracked down what virtue means, and it comes from
Oh yeah,
your inner man, basically, like or man
Man-
number two.
manhood. Yeah,
Yeah, so which
it's
is
Latin for manhood,
yeah,
basically.
it's really interesting. I really like that.
Yeah,
I
because
also
the vir means man in Latin.
yes, that's also where
Virile.
virile came from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's
Virtue.
actually related to the prefix in Anglo-Saxon, where, were,
Oh yeah, yeah,
which
yeah.
is
Werewolf.
then yeah,
Werewolf. Man
yeah,
wolf.
that's the only way, like place it really survives in modern English. But they both had the where, weir, and that was coming from an Indo-European word for man that sounded something like where or weir.
We have the same. Var. Ulv is the Norwegian word for werewolf. And the var doesn't mean anything on its own. Well, that makes sense. Like, it does have a meaning, but it's not anything close to this. So it's just a coincidence.
Yeah, and
Toxic virility.
man actually, it's taken to be masculine these days, but it was originally neutral. And there are some cases in which it's still neutral. So usually, actually, I think when a word ends in man, like policeman or postman, that's actually a neutral, and it's more like police person.
Yeah.
And people are
Or
just assuming
mankind.
it's
Our
masculine.
generation knew all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, people have forgotten that. People think, oh my god, they're putting male
They
gender
haven't
on everything.
forgotten it. They're trying to find things to problematize to gain power.
There's that too. Yeah, but so what? Then you might wonder, what is the root for man if it's not a male human? Well, it actually is related to the
Homo.
word mind. Related to the word mind, man, and it means thinker. It's a person who's basically capable of sentient thought, right? So we
Homo
call ourselves,
sapiens.
yeah, we call ourselves man because we notice that we actually can think about things and other living things can't, and so we named ourselves accordingly. Um, and that's actually lost today with the gender wars. Is that to be a man is to be somebody who thinks, you know, and it's actually so. that means it's related to like the
Like Mensa.
mensa, so which is the Latin word for mind. So man is actually related through the Indo-European to that word in Latin, which we get as mental. So mental and man comes from Germanic, mental comes from Romantic, are actually still related to each other through that common Indo-European root. So it's fascinating to learn about this stuff, and it
It
makes
does
you
say
realize.
that not all linguists accept that etymology.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna find the ones that don't accept it and kick their asses. So, you know, we'll just leave it at that. Um, but it's interesting because it tells you how much language um can evolve but also stay the same, and then how much we focus on certain things is just based on whatever our preferences are at the time. Like an interesting thing about English is that there is a tendency for our words that are of more Germanic origin to seem inferior to the ones that are of more Romantic origin. And most of this has to do with the fact that we had a
When
more of
you
that.
say, oh, you mean Romance languages like Latin, Latinate?
Yeah.
Yes,
Romance and
yes,
German. Well,
Yeah.
French and Anglo-Saxon,
effectively
basically.
French. Yeah, basically French. So whether it's a French word that we directly adopted or an English word that simply has a Latin origin, probably from the French. Um, so a good example would be you can shit or you can defecate. Now, these words both technically mean the same thing. They're both talking about the same foul thing, but shit has the Germanic origin, and defecate has the French and Romantic origin, and so defecate is seen as better. Um, and that has to be that's because the Normans conquered England, and they brought the Norman French culture to the ruling class, and that had a lasting influence on what was seen as high class versus low class, and how you would want to be heard speaking versus the way you would only speak around your friends. That it was 1066 that happened, that the Battle of Hastings happened, and William the Conqueror took over England for the Normans. It's almost a millennium later, and that it's still influencing the way we speak. And it's completely arbitrary. There's
What
nothing
is French?
better.
Yeah. The
That's
words we
not
translate.
arbitrary. I mean, Chaucer drew on French and Italian when he was like that's early modern English.
But he's drawing on that because of the Norman conquest.
If Norway had
Yeah,
won,
but then he's
like,
incorporating
terrible.
into as English's development. Chaucer was a huge influence on the development of
Well, what
English
I'm
today.
saying, what I'm saying is that this pecking order within the words of the English language is just purely a product of the fact that Normans won a battle, one battle in
I don't know
particular.
about a pecking order. Like it seems arbitrary and subjective.
Well,
Yeah, but
I think you're
it
aware
is
that most people
subjective.
agree that if you're going to say something in public, you will probably get a more um, accepted response if you were to say defecate versus shit. Most people will think, "Ew, how could you speak like that?" But if you say defecate,
I
then
very rarely hear someone say, "I have to defecate." Excuse me,
I
I
would
have to
just
go
say
defecate.
I'll either have to shat myself or I gotta poop.
I know what you mean. But I'm just saying, like, one's considered a bad word, one is going to get you dirty looks from people, and one will not,
Yeah, but
right?
that's what I call arbitrary and subjective. There's not like
Okay,
this subjective ranking of terms. That's just
and that's what I'm saying.
individuals'
I'm
generalized response to it.
but I'm saying that's an individual's arbitrary generalized response that has its origin in something that happened almost a full millennium ago. We're so far removed from it, and yet it is still impacting the emotional
I
responses.
don't. I'm skeptical. I'd have to see evidence that
Well,
people of today. That is the reason why they're having a reaction to a word, other than
what is the
rather than
posh
other
accent?
factors.
Like, if you're
Well,
going to imitate a posh person, you're going to use more French-derived words because that's the symbol of the ruling class. Even though it's not that anymore, that was the ruling class since
mhm.
1066. It's just the same as if Norway had won instead of William the Conqueror. It would probably be the same. The Norse-derived word would be the symbol of the upper class instead of the Germanics, and that would be prestige. But in this scenario, the French words won out. It's the
Yeah,
same in Norway. Like Denmark controlled us. The words that are more Danish sounding instead of rural dialect words, the Danish sounding words are the more prestigious. That's the posh accent. That's the symbol of power. it's in the Philippines. If you're using a American, really standard American word use and pronunciation instead of like more local variation of English, you are superior. Like that's the superior way of speaking because that they were the upper class, and even though it isn't
It,
today,
you mean
still,
it's the way of speaking associated with those
yes.
Yeah,
classes. I wouldn't
I'm
call it
saying,
objectively the superior way of speaking, but it's
yeah.
associated with classes that people tend to view
Yeah,
as
By
higher
the
in the
yeah.
way,
What I'm
hierarchy.
saying is that because William won the Battle of Hastings, that is sort of what went into sort of the collective consciousness of what English is and how it's spoken. Such that even today you have people who see shit as a bad word, who see fuck as a bad word,
defecating
but
delinquent.
right, people don't often say words like defecate and things like that, but it is often seen as a higher way of speaking, right? Like people will be, oh, that's a big word, right? Why is it a big word? It's not. It's just a word. There are no big words.
There are words with more syllables than other words. I think that's what
That
people
is
mean
true.
when they say big words. They're like visually longer, bigger.
Either way,
I
I'm gonna
think
go
I
now.
think
So you enjoy the conversation on, but I gotta go now. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Take care, Delvis.
see ya.
I mean,
Good
you might
catching
be
up.
right there, Jeff. I've also heard things called big words if they're like if it's a single syllable, but it's just not a commonly used one. Like if I said, um, like if I described a movie as deft, right? People might think that's a big word. It's a four-letter word, but how often do people say deft, right?
Right, because they use big word figuratively. Like I know what somebody means when they say, "Oh, that's a big word."
Right. So it's a. I think some of the bigness isn't just the syllables or how many letters, but it's also the status of the word, right? And I think the sense of words with status, the ones that exist in English, a lot of it harkens back to just the fact that
I
William
mean,
won the Battle of Hastings.
maybe, but this far in history, like how many we're like what 2,000 years away from that time period. I would be cautious about saying somebody's reacting to a word for a reason that's 1,000 years old instead of something more immediate, like the associations they picked up in their childhood and their present day life.
What I'm saying is that the associations they picked up in their childhood and life are a direct sort of domino effect
That's what
of
I would
William winning
question:
that.
how direct and how influential that still is 2,000 years later.
Well, I'm just saying if William loses the battle, we have very different standards for how English is spoken. Like probably almost no French influence at that point. Um,
Maybe there's no way
because
to tell. Because again,
well, so
Chaucer was fluent in French and Italian, and
so
he may have
Chaucer,
still used the French influence
but Chaucer was
because he
writing in
was a
English.
he did like they sent him to France and stuff to conduct so he was fluent in French independently of William
So
conquering it.
he knew a lot of that, but the English he was writing was English with French influence, and he would have known that in writing it, that people reading it would like know the French influenced words in it.
It was
So
early modern English, and he was writing for the intellectuals. There was really no
yeah, but
public.
he wrote that in the 1200s, right? And so the Battle of Hastings happens in 1066. So by the time that's happened, Chaucer is existing in a world where the Normans have influenced
Right, you're
English.
making that claim,
Yeah.
and I'm being skeptical that it can be
Okay.
reduced to that one factor, like so clearly and so directly. It may be one possible influence in why something 200 years later is the way it is, but I think you're making a stronger claim for it than I would make. That one thing.
Okay, so I mean, I guess I'd be. Mike says Joe convert to gay. Okay.
Joe is not gay. Leave him alone. We're waiting on the Scottish girls.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Um.
Alan, if you're out there,
Yeah.
where's our kilted pimp?
But what are the comments said about things? Let's see. We fell behind on the comments.
Not
Where
not
Chunky
really
ones are
anything.
the best. I haven't had the chunky ones in a long time.
Leggy, what's
American
going
mac
on
and
with
cheese
you? Did you
salad first.
recover from last night?
Oh yeah, it was fine.
Okay,
It was
good.
fine. I
You ready to
slept till
do it
like
again?
9. I slept till like, well, I woke up at 4 o'clock. Spike was live. I go, what happened? Did I win? Spike goes, no, I won. I go, no. I
He
go, you.
he
I
he gets to claim the win, but technically
I
there
won.
was no. We didn't finish the game, so there was no official winner.
So Jeff, I will say this. Mike is not the first person to think that I would be better as a gay. So for some reason, that's something that I've seen people mention here and there over the years. They just want me to be gay for some reason.
Why?
Maybe it's
Like
because
they think you'd be happier because
I don't know.
you're
Maybe it's because it doesn't make sense to them that I'm single. So like maybe they're like, oh, he must just be gay and not realize that he should try being gay. I don't know.
No, I just think you're holding out for the right woman because you have standard. Like you have very clear ideas of what you want out of a relationship, and you know when
Yeah.
you're not getting that.
Or I think you're probably just awkward around women that don't know how to speak to them, is what I think.
I
Could
don't
be
get
that
that
too.
impression from him.
Yeah, but I'm mostly talking to dudes on here.
And married women. Oh.
Maybe Mike has a gay friend that he owes a favor.
Yeah, Mike, do you have any gay friends you could hook him up with? I don't know if I was gonna say me too, but then I don't
Yeah,
know
hook
if I
me up
want
on.
that. If that's an introduction, I would.
Yeah, if you
Try.
want a different kind of drama in your life, right?
You might get jealousy on that one, out of that one, Jeff.
Oh.
You might get some jealousy on that one.
Yeah, you might get jealous that you pay attention to his gay hookup that he set you up with more than him now. Like, what,
That's
Jeff?
my man.
It's like, you weren't supposed to steal Jeff from me.
Yes. I'm the
Here's
I'm
my
the
knight in
gay
shining
boyfriend that every
armor.
straight person has always wanted. Has never known they needed.
Oh, he has gay family, but they're women, I guess. Chuck says his daughter's looking for a man. How old is your
Chuck,
daughter, Chuck?
how are you doing? I was thinking about you the other day. We haven't really seen you for a while, and I was hoping that your real life was going relatively smoothly.
41. Okay.
I know.
I think 41's outside of my range.
He's he can
Yeah, like when
negotiate. He can make him a deal.
I don't think he can lower the age on his daughter. I don't think that's how age
You're gonna have to
works.
sweeten the pot.
Oh, with trans ageism, maybe, but yeah, when I do like dating apps, like I don't look for women over 30.
Mike, I think you might be a sassy gay man. You very much have sassy gay potential.
Bone says, "Why are we even talking about someone's sexual preference? It's not appropriate."
Hey, I decide what's appropriate on my panel. Bones.
I think that's kind of part of it because Jeff's the he's the gay Satanist Dr. Phil, and so that sexual preference is part of the branding here.
Oh, can she cook? Ricardo, are you in the market? Like what? I thought you had.
So Miss Boo, I'm gonna say I generally agree with you.
I do
What
too.
you just said about don't search for love, but I'll also say when I say, you know what, I'm not gonna look, I'm just gonna go with the flow, I'm gonna be myself, and then things will work out. When I do that, that's when people start saying, "Oh, of course you're single, Joe. You're not trying. You're not putting yourself out
Just
there."
ignore. Just ignore
And
them.
it's always a flip flop of what my advice is, and it's like I feel like there is no such thing as good advice on this.
There's
It's
not.
just it's a world of
My
chaos.
experience is Miss Boo. It's gonna happen when it happens. And the best relationship, the ones you're not looking for, are usually the best relationships. So even if you are looking, that's no guarantee you're gonna find the one that's right for you. Just
And
let the
I will
universe
say,
bring it to you.
I've said this I think before on the panel, but I'll say it more clearly this time. The one girlfriend I did have, who I was referencing before on Kane's channel, the only reason she and I started dating is specifically because I did not try to date her. It was just a thing that happened. And so, as far as I can tell, not trying is the only thing that
Did
ever
she
got me
initiate it?
past. As far as wanting to push it romantically, yes. Because she texted me one morning and like at
Oh
6
right,
a.m.
the
and she was
6
like,
a.m.
I want to see you again. And I said, this is probably not a buddy type of text. And but up to that point, I was just socializing with my coworkers, and so she knew me, just from working with me, and decided that she liked me, and then she already liked me, I think, when we started hanging out, but she wanted to like convert. Yeah, I'm repeating it for Miss Boo, I think. Yeah, to like convert it into a date. Not Laws. You don't like reruns, do you?
Yeah, but not Laz, you're not the only viewer to this channel. We get new viewers all the time, believe it or not,
Yeah, I
that
gotta
may
catch
not
people
have
up.
heard
They
his
don't know
story.
stuff. Yeah. So it's interesting. I definitely like it more when I just have things to do and like I'm going on an adventure. It's when you have less things to do, then you start thinking, oh, maybe I should just try to find someone to date because that's a way to fill the time. Lately, I've been better at finding things to fill my time.
Yeah, and if you just keep filling your time with activities that put you in touch with other people, then you'll eventually, somebody will drift your way.
Hmm. Or they won't, and I'll just at least do something
Or they
to,
won't, but
or I'll just have fun in the meantime doing what I'm doing, which is
yeah.
better than just not having fun. What some people do, some people get so hung up on being single that they lose their ability to have fun. And you don't want to become someone like that.
Yeah, it could be. I think it always is.
The fit but crazy ones.
I
Hmm.
think everything we do is a reflection of us in some kind of way.
I think there is sort of a thing
Barring
where
some random, like if you're just walking down the street and the wing of a plane falls on your head, that's probably not a reflection on you. But barring those random physical chance happenings, it
yeah.
probably is a reflection of our actions and our experiences are they do reflect our inputs into them. Oh, so your high school sweetheart. I wonder if that still happens.
I doubt it. I doubt it. People don't stay in their hometowns anymore. People move several times, for work and stuff. I think this is part of why dating has become so difficult for a lot of people is they're dating a lot of people who are more often strangers. I think it was more common back in the day, like when they talk about how people used to, get asked out, like, in the grocery store aisle or something. It's because the person in the grocery store aisle was probably someone in their town who they had seen multiple times. Maybe they were even in school together at some point. Maybe they didn't have classes, but they knew who each other, were. And so it was much more likely you could approach someone in that context. And even if you didn't know someone, you could be like, "Oh, I do this on this street," and they're like, "Oh, I know where that is." Right? It's much more easier to make a connection from a chance encounter back then in small town culture versus today, where people are just moving all over the place all the time. They have to relocate for work. You got to fucking check "Are you willing to relocate for this job to get fucking hired anymore?" The "Are you willing to relocate?" Checkbox on a job application is one of the biggest sources of cultural degeneracy in the United States, if you ask me, because it's pulling
Yeah,
communities
but
apart.
What
I'm
is
pretty sure
that?
they just, Jeff, look this up. They just passed a law. We're talking about doing some type of law where they get rid of useless information like that on a application and paperwork. Because it's
Well, the,
like a time saving. Fuck, how the hell do they word it? It's something to do with time saving and wasting people's time.
My roommate was looking for jobs last year and he went on, I think it was Lowe's or some company like that, and he went on their website and they had an AI that talked to him and had a conversation with him and he answered a few questions and then it routed him to this human that scheduled an interview with him. There was no application, there was none of that. It was just him talking to an AI. And
mhm,
that's what hooked him up with the person that he needed to interview with to determine if he got the position. I thought that was so streamlined.
mhm.
We won't even need
Applications
applications
suck.
anymore.
That's that's interesting.
Um,
I'm
Ricardo.
interested in you said like something about culture degenerating
Oh yeah, so I think that's what Ricardo wants me to break down. So
because it's degenerating according to your idea of cultural
yeah,
standards and norms.
these are based on my assumptions about what is going on. So if you think my underlying axioms are wrong, You ask country simple, and then I say a word like axiom. My underlying assumptions about how American society works. If you question those, whatever. I'm not going to quibble with you about them. But just to explain what I mean, uh, it used to be the case that people would stay in their communities. They would go to high school, graduate, and they would probably get a job in their town. At most, they might move to the next town over. They'd be very close to the people they grew up with. And so when they would run into people, so if we're talking about like why people talk about how dating is really hard today, your average person today is much more likely to be in a community where they don't know anybody. Because people move to different places to go to college, to get a different job, and then even after they move for those things, they will probably move a couple more times, relocating as they get jobs. People don't have careers anymore; they have gigs. They're at a place for about 5 years. They move around a lot. So, you grow old world. You grow up. You go to high school. Whatever the main jobs are in that small town, that's what you go into. You just get a high school education to show that you're minimally competent enough to be able to do what the normal jobs are. And you do that, you're more likely to marry your high school sweetheart then, because you have a clear path forward for that. It's easier for people to want to commit early on and go ahead and get married. There's they have a vision of the future that's more ironed out for them. Things are more chaotic now. You don't know when the next gig's going to be or where it's going to be. You're bouncing around so much. You're not laying down roots anywhere. It's harder to feel like, even if you do get into a relationship, that you want to marry folks. When you do meet people, they're much more likely to be total strangers. Like you could be in a town. Let's say you're in Omaha, Nebraska, right? You could be from, say, my state, North Carolina, and she could be from fucking Arizona, right? So you guys don't even have shared knowledge of Omaha that you can fall back on, right?
You
But in
have
your
plenty
small
of other
town,
things.
but I'm saying like the small town community, like it's just
So
if you know what,
what
like,
has where's the degeneration?
I think the degeneration is that we don't have these easy, naturally forming bonds anymore, right? Like if you guys know what, like, if you guys both know what the main movie theater is in your small town, right? Or like, oh yeah, I used to work at that movie theater, um, like for a couple summers, right? If she knows that's the main movie theater everyone goes to in that town, like if you think like 50s, 60s culture, right? Um, back when it was more small town, right? Like that matters, but like if you're both like transplants at Omaha, you might
But
not know a bunch of
I
each
don't
other.
know that how much of a barrier that is. Like geographical regional familiarity was not the driving factor of most of my relationship. It was common interest, common movies. We read the same books. We liked it was cultural stuff more
But
than if we knew the
I
same movie
get what you're
theater. That
saying,
was
Jeff.
not what bonded us together. It was, do we like the same movies?
I'm
Well, I
saying those
understand that.
things become more common when you're in the same town.
I I kind of get where you're going
I'm
with this,
still trying to
Jeff.
see the degeneration. Like,
All right, so
is it
like
that people are leaving small towns and moving to the cities, and you think that's degenerate, and they should stay in small towns because it's a superior
Not
lifestyle?
even not even
I'm
cities.
just gonna go over here in my corner.
They might move to other small towns, but the point is people are in more alien environments. They're not in familiar
But
environments.
by choice, they're choosing to be in these alienating environments. They could
Yeah.
stay in their small town, and many people are not growing up in the small towns to begin with. They're starting life in these alienating environments. Leggy, what were you gonna say?
All right. Well, I understand what Joe's saying. Like, really? So, like, where I live, it's to a point where the housing's very, because I live in a small town. Housing's very limited. Uh, the fishing industry's dying out, so more and more people are moving away to, like, to get a better education, a better job. Like, there's a family up here, his wife and kids live in Florida. They moved from Maine to Florida because his wife got a better job opportunity, and he still comes up here and fishes, but bounces back and forth between here and Florida, just because the opportunities no longer are here. Like his children aren't interested in lobster fishing, so he goes, "What's the point of keeping them around here?" So
Yeah. So like what I'm saying is that there's increased chaos in the average adult life here. And an increase in chaos means that there's more likely to be mismatches when adults meet each other. than not. And it's true. I'm saying people are choosing to do this, but I
But
think there
it's
are these
always been
long-term.
that way. I don't see the
Well, I don't think it has
degeneracy.
always been this way. I think the degeneracy is that people are single and isolated more often, and this makes them
By
unhappy. And
choice. Nobody's forcing people to be single and isolated.
so
We know, but if you're not, it's
I
hard
get,
to go out and
I
about
go, but it's
if
that
you
personal
know nobody.
accountability responsibility. I can always hear it instantly when it's missing in a narrative, and it's missing in this. These
Yeah.
people are not nothing's happening to them.
okay, so
They are
I would
failing to adapt to changing conditions.
so I would agree that people are choosing this, but I also think like what people think they are choosing is I'm choosing to move here so I can have a good career, and then but they're also choosing without realizing it, maybe because they're not thinking far into the future, is I'm pulling myself out of an area where I have a lot of familiarity and putting myself
You
into a
don't
more
think
alien
they're. What
environment.
makes you think they're not thinking that? I'm
Because
sure they're aware that if they
because
move
I
from.
worked at a law firm and people don't understand that speed limit means speed limit until the day an officer pulls them over. I'm just saying it's human
So
psychology.
you're
People aren't thinking.
extrapolating from that people are gonna not like be aware that
Yeah,
if they move from their small town that they're moving into an unknown environment and they're giving up their familiar. I think people are aware of that when they're thinking through these
I don't
decisions.
think it's real to people until it hits them and some opportunities are missed. And I think like when that simply wasn't a choice that people had, that like it's just the small town is what you've got. Um, there were a lot things were a lot simpler. Um, people felt
Is
people were more related
the
to each other.
degeneracy that people should stay in smaller town like they are
Okay,
degenerate by wanting to move to larger areas to take advantage of increased opportunities? That seems
so
backwards.
I should be clear. I think when I'm talking about degeneracy, I'm not saying individuals are being degenerate. I'm saying it's a degenerate system. Like we're weakening our bonds. It is degenerating. And if we weren't weakening our bonds, then there would not be higher rates of
We've
loneliness
been
and people.
urbanizing for decades now, and urban culture is different than rural. Like the bonds are just different. They're more transactional. It takes a different type of bond to keep a city going than a small
Yeah.
town.
But I think you're aware there's like higher rates of loneliness and depression associated with a lot of these cultural changes, right, Jeff? Like I'm
Yeah,
sure
but
you've seen
that's
the data on
individual.
this.
Like those are that you that's that is individual. You said you're not talking about the individual. It sounds like you like small town life better than city life, and I do too. But I don't think one is morally superior or degenerate
Well,
than the other. I
so
guess
I
that's
don't
what I'm arguing. The value judgment you're placing on it is what I'm challenging.
so
Not
I don't
not the
necessarily
the
like small
phenomenon
town life
itself. I
more.
agree with you that it's happening.
Like I grew up in a small town, and um I don't think I fit in well in my small town culture. I probably fit in better living in a more urban area like I do now. It's not like Manhattan kind of urban, but it's definitely more urban where I grew up. And but I'm simply saying like as a lot of people are concerned, and it doesn't even have to be a small town. Like if they grew up in an urban area and their borough or whatever is like their local community, they're more uprooted from that now. And I think one thing that really facilitates like the ease in dating and courtship is familiarity, because especially if we look at it like from female psychology, the less familiar a man is, the more likely he is to seem scary or creepy, and that is a barrier
But
to bonding
why
over things.
aren't things like movies and shared cultural
So those things help. Those things
events
do
and
help.
artifacts a form of familiarity? Like if I find someone that likes the same music I do, that's going to bring us together way more than the fact that we're from different states.
So I think those are things that help in spite of it. I'm not saying those things don't count, but I'm just saying like there were already those things, like there were already movies and bands when there was small town life, um, and books and stuff. But now we don't have that plus the local communities. And
And my local community back home still has like people are still doing all that. So it is still we're we're not losing it everywhere.
yeah, and so when I say degeneracy, like I don't mean it like people are bad for doing this, but like it's degenerate in the
But
sense that like
that there's
something is
one
breaking
form of
down.
life that's degenerating into an inferior form of life. And I don't think that I think city life is just a different type of life and it requires different skills and adaptations. I don't think it's necessarily inferior than small town
Well,
life. And
so
it sounds
you could
like
even
that's what you're saying, that people that
take
leave
two
smaller
cities.
towns and move to larger areas are are doing something that is degenerating their options or their
Even take two cities. You got people who are going from the Bronx to San Francisco and San Francisco to the Bronx, right? So just two urban areas. Right there, but they had some familiarity with whatever their neighborhood or borough was, and that is lost, and that takes away from social cohesion. And I think it is not something that is immediately um,
But that has
obvious.
always been an issue with cities, which you're describing. Like the social cohesion in a city is always going to be less than or different than in a smaller community, just because there's more people. Like it's you're going to have a different model for social cohesion.
Oh, not laws. Oh boy. Well,
So
anyway,
everything you're saying sounds like criticism of urbanization, which has been going on for centuries, if not millennia, in human history. So that this is nothing new. When people leave one scale of community and go to a different scale.
I think the last thing I'll just clarify is that it doesn't necessarily have to be a small town to urbanization thing. It could be small town to small town, urban to urban. What I'm saying more is like where you started is what's important. People are being pulled from where they started more often.
I think modern culture like overrides all that and has been my whole lifetime. Like as long as you have movies or TV shows or books or stuff you can relate to, it doesn't so much matter if you have common geographical references. I will say like there could be cultural people from different cultures can have differences that make it hard to relate and be familiar, even if you do have these common points of reference. But I don't know that that's. I don't know if I would have any easier time dating somebody just because they came from the same part of Louisiana as I did than somebody that I met that lives somewhere else. I think it would depend on common interest, values, activities, much more than, oh, we both know what that restaurant is, or we both know what that school is that from our childhood. That seems less important long term than the things you acquire after that point that hold you together as adults.
Well, maybe that's a Gen X thing.
Maybe so. So
Okay,
millennials are more.
Did you
Well, yes, it is a Gen X thing because look at all the crappy movies and art that y'all have. Of course, that's
did
not
you
going to be a common bond.
did
Hey,
you watch
Mike, what?
did you watch Kids? Did you get to watch Kids?
No, I can't. I'm still looking for a copy.
It's restricted. It's restricted. So I have it on DVD.
I did
actually
hear that Apple TV might potentially have it. So if anybody has Apple TV, it can check.
I do
But
have it
that's.
on DVD. I have it on DVD, but yeah, it's
Do you have a
restricted.
DVD player that would play
Yeah.
it through a computer?
hmm It's very restricted. It's a very controversial movie. Very
Yeah,
Harmon.
I agree. It's
Harmony.
frightening. It's scared.
Yeah, it's
No movie has kept me more awake than Kids,
it is a
and that's
very
even before I started
controversial.
teaching.
Yeah, it's a very controversial movie. And and in Washington Park, they're doing the skateboarding, and then the whole AIDS epidemic, is a focus of that movie. The AIDS epidemic. It's really bad, man. But
I
it
like
teaches you.
Gummo too.
Yeah, Gummo is wow. I can't even repeat what Gummo says, but with
Right.
the part where he's like,
We'll
I
definitely
know
be
who
watching
Gummo
that one
is.
at some point.
when he's in the rabbit costume and he's
That's another
screaming his words. Yeah,
difficult movie.
yeah. But Harmon, he's a
Harmony
crazy
Korine.
kid.
He did
Yeah,
Mr. Lonely too, which was really good.
he got banned from the Late Show. He got banned from David Letterman. He got banned, like they wouldn't let him back
Just because of
after
his movies, or did he say something?
because he was saying the craziest stuff.
Oh,
They wouldn't let him back. But his movies are edgy, but they're like basically
No
grassroots
good thing to
90s.
say the late show.
and I think he's actually Gen X,
He
not a
is,
boomer working in the Gen X.
but it was. I mean,
Yeah, he's younger than I am.
he put out some crazy stuff. He did, but it makes you think. It makes you like ponder. You know,
Yeah,
Don't
I
you hate it
like
when
his
boomers
work.
pretend to be Gen X?
The what?
I said, don't you hate it when boomers pretend to be Gen X?
Hmm.
They're
Not
born in
really, because those were the
1964, so
cool
they think
boomers.
they can act like they. Oh, I can be like Leonardo DiCaprio. Fuck off.
One reason Gen X was as cool as it is because we had the cool late
Yeah.
boomers that
Well,
helped
we
it be
have
that way.
we have the knowledge. That's the thing is that Gen Xers have the knowledge of a higher consciousness. If that makes sense. I mean, that sounds kind of like very.
It does make sense because some of that came
Yeah.
through rock and roll. Or rock.
Yeah.
That was what, like in the 60s with the psychedelics. I'm watching the history of psychedelia now, and that's exactly what they talk about as
We've
the foundational difference between the culture that came before and our culture.
we've experienced more things, so we're kind of more in depth to
Like we've experienced more real world embodied things. It's not, we don't experience it remotely from a screen. We actually had the real life experiences.
I
And now
think
everybody's getting everything through their screens as they sit in their chair, and their experience is becoming virtual.
I think if you grew, I think this is my opinion only. If you grew up to the late '80s, early '90s, you were awakened to like the next 40 years. Like late '80s, early '90s is that Gen X awakening. You know,
Yeah, we
seeing
were
things.
awakened to the like gritty reality of life and other
That's
humans.
it.
We were
That's
the
it.
generation without illusions. There was no
That's it.
illusion that a Gen X could not see
Your
through, dispel, dissipate in some way.
your eyes were open, you know, and you're like, whoa, what the hell is this? You know,
And we didn't
and
believe anything adults told. Like the adults were not the source of our narrative
people
about
like
the world.
people like Joe doesn't understand because Joe's a youngster. He's a young guy. You know, nothing wrong, Joe.
A
No
young
disrespect.
whippersnapper.
But you're a young guy. You're a younger guy, so you don't understand. If you're 50 like me and Jeff are,
Let
dude,
him
the
elder
playing
explain
field
to you.
is totally different. Joe, when you were trying to get a girl, me and Jeff were already in that mix, like 20 years prior. All I'm trying to say is that people have different experiences in their life. That's all I'm trying to say. You know, and Joe, even though you're relevant and you're very intelligent and you bring a lot to the
You're
panel,
still a
you're
kid.
still
Don't you forget it,
you're
Sonny.
still you're still a youngster. You're still a whippersnapper. That's
Dude,
what you want.
that happened when I went to this board game event on Thursday, and this was one where there were a bunch of older people, and they're like, "Oh, we have a young person in here," and I was just thinking, you know, a lot of places I go to, I don't hear that anymore, unless it's people who are like retired. They're like, "Oh, it's a young person," and they
Yeah.
probably think I'm like in my 20s still or something. Like when I went to this annual shareholder meeting of a title insurance company, because that's something I would go to back
I
in
was up here
May.
trying to talk and fucking my mic wasn't even working.
Oh,
I'm up
Oh,
here like yelling at the fucking thing, like I'm yelling at Mike to shut the fuck up. And no wonder he wasn't responding because my mic wasn't working.
why are you telling Mike to shut the fuck up?
Well, because
Do
I
you
was
want
up
me
here
to-
trying, because I was trying to talk. I was trying to say something, you know what I mean?
no one, no
Oh.
Like
one,
I
no
was
one
thinking
wants
he
to
was
hear you talk. No
intentionally
one wants to
not
hear you talk.
stopping.
Well,
I,
what is it you want to say?
I don't even remember now what the fuck I was
Come
trying.
on, like don't tease us
Well, you don't
like that.
remember because we like. I mean, I don't know. But is there something you want to say about the conversation we were having?
Yes, yes, it was about the conversation we were having because you were
Okay.
talking about the millennials and the age of, and it's like it's weird because like I'm 36 and like it's a very weird line for me because I remember life before all this technology and shit. And I remember the simplicity of walking outside and playing with trucks outside in the sandbox and riding my bike to all hours of the night in the summertime. You know what I mean? Like, I remember that shit. And
Yeah.
now you fast forward and it's like my kids and shit, the shit, I'm just looking at them. I'm like, when I was your age, I wasn't doing this shit. I didn't even have a cell phone until I was 16. So, I mean, there
Yeah,
you go.
you're like more culturally Gen X, I would
So
say,
let's fast
because of
forward
that.
into let's fast forward and Leggy, I appreciate that, and I agree with you completely. I loved the simplicity of our youth, right? Jeff, remember when we were like 25 years old, how simplistic it was? It was amazing. It was amazing. So, what is the big problem you have, Leggy, now? Is you think that we're too connected? Is that what you think?
Oh yeah, we're way too plugged into fucking
Well, I
shit.
thought y'all want the hey. I count on that. I thought y'all want that. I want you plugged in.
Well, I know you do, but I guess like with me, like I'm fascinated with some of this shit on YouTube and talking to some of these people and getting the
Oh my god.
411. Moose, are you in a shipyard?
Where are you?
Moose with no sound. He's at a
Oh,
fair.
okay. Dang. I
That's
wanted
some
to hear
pretty.
the story, y'all. What the? What are those wheelbarrows? Is it wheelbarrow racing?
But wasn't it amazing when we were not so connected, when we were separated, when we had to actually go to someone's house, knock on their
Yep,
door, and
I remember
hang
Oh
that.
out?
yeah,
That was
yeah.
so long ago.
Carts.
I
I
remember
know.
actually walking up to my neighbor's house and like to where a kid lived and like asking if they could play today and stuff.
Oh yeah, uh, hands down.
That was like elementary school.
I
After
love
that,
those
that stopped
boulders.
happening. Once cell phones started coming out, that stopped happening.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it's amazing. I miss the what we used to have back in the day. I miss that. I
Are
miss
y'all
that.
apple picking? Is that what the carts are for? Damn it!
I
Fuck,
remember
Moose.
this one neighbor. He had like his yard at like the front of our street. We're like connected to like the main street, and he had a big yard. And in his backyard, he had this bonfire pit. And this is when the neighborhood was smaller too. Our as they extended the road, they added more houses, and it got really big and crazy. But um, when it was smaller and still developing, and there was only like maybe a couple dozen houses there, um, a lot of the folks who lived there would go and like hang it at the bonfire, and they bring their kids. The kids would play, and it was just like this naturally occurring thing. It was so different. And so I vaguely remember that in my earliest years, right? We're talking like 90s, back before everything got fucked up by 9/11 and 2008 recession and the internet.
What's that noise?
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm doing the dishes and I'm
oh
trying
damn!
to
You were
scrape the pan.
you.
I baked chicken on it and the chicken, like the shit's stuck to the pan.
Yeah, so yeah, 9/11 was a crazy. That was a crazy time. I think everything changed after 9/11. Everything changed in our entire lives. Everything changed, like
Mm-hmm.
completely.
I agree. That was a cultural shift after 9/11. I agree with that 100%.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So,
ever since 9/11, people have been a little bit more
Mhm.
so it's different.
People have been
Yeah,
what? Little more what?
Like this.
just everything changed. Everything changed. People's
Really?
awareness.
So that's what I think that a lot of us missed out on. Like being, I think younger people experienced it in a different way than the adults did.
It was Tuesday. It was a Tuesday. At my son was 1 year old, and I'm holding him. And now I can't hold my son anymore. He's 240 pounds. But I remember holding him, watching it at 2011, and I remember everything changed. Everything changed. Everything. I got called into work. The military base closed down. We got put on call. Like it was everything changed, you know. So I just it's one of those things where everything just flipped a switch. It did, and
Oh, Leggy's
for
back.
yeah, and
Oh,
it's hard.
I
I'm
didn't,
sorry, man.
Leggy. I didn't put you backstage. That's your connection.
Yeah,
I just saw you try to come up and it kicked you again. That's not me.
that's really hard, man. Really, really hard.
Y'all, listen to this. What happened yesterday? I got a text from my mom, and it was a picture of her and Moose standing next to each other up in Maine.
Wow.
That was so fucking surreal to look at.
Is your mom a cool gal, Jeff?
Apparently, he sees her more than I do. It was just
Yeah.
weird seeing your mom
So
and Moose in a picture. Like, how Moose is from the Panoverse. How is he hanging out with my mom?
He's
M- M-
stalking your mom. The hell's
Moose
he
is doing a
doing?
power play here.
I mean, you guys are already married, Jeff. Just admit it. You guys are married already.
I have a lot of husbands, I think.
Hmm.
It's
It'll be like a love triangle. It's gonna be you, Moose, and
we're gonna have
Joe.
to have a panel
No,
bachelor soon.
I think Jeff's connection with me is more avuncular.
I don't know,
Who's the
Joe.
avunk? Me,
That would be you.
I'm the gunkle.
You're Gen X. You're the
Yeah,
scrappy uncle.
I'm the millennials gay uncle. I'm the cool gay
I
uncle.
don't know,
That's
That's
my
Joe.
role now.
I think that's part of your brand actually.
I
I
do
think that's
I do.
think about it. You naturally that's
Joe,
what you're
if you
I
want
selling.
love
my
being a gunkle. I have nieces and nephews in real life, and I absolutely love being a
yeah.
gay
So
uncle.
if you want, Joe, if you want my honest opinion, there's definitely a love affair there. I mean, there's definitely
A
a
love
love
affair.
affair between you and Joe. I mean, Jeff. I mean, I'm sorry. There's a love affair, and you'd be
I
the
think it's just that we have a good intellectual chemistry, and people can
I don't
mistake that
know. I don't know.
sometimes
Like
for.
you and what's his name? You and what's that dude? That crazy dude that would come on all the time. What was his
Lord, that
name?
could be anybody.
The one that's not you,
Barnabas.
Mike.
Barnabas.
Oh, yeah, yes,
Yeah.
Barnabas. How could I
That was
forget? He hasn't
yeah.
been
That
around in
was
a while.
yeah. That was not real. That wasn't a real love affair. But I think the Joe and
Apparently
Jeff
not.
love affair. I think it's real. I think it's real. I think Joe, you need to
Oh,
go
like what
ahead and
Joe and I have is more real. Barnabas was not real, but Joe and I have the
yeah.
real thing. Well,
Joe, you
I'm
need to
still gonna like free him up to pursue life with a woman should he find one. I don't want to be the
It's
one that
only
the thing that
real.
holds him back.
It's only real if it makes women want to steal me from Jeff. If they don't want to do that in
Joe,
response, then it's
Joe,
not real.
listen to me. Listen to
Yeah.
me. I've been around a long time. There's
Hmm.
something there. There's a
Hmm.
love there,
You
and
become more attractive if they know that
I think you
they
should
they can't
embrace
have
it.
you.
I think you and Jeff should be together, antlers and all. I think you should go for it. That's what I think. I'm just
I'm willing to
it's
be
only
someone's fake gay boyfriend if it
my
helps him find women.
opinion. It's only my opinion. Joe, I think you should give up on the skanks that are out there, and you should just be with Jeff. That's it.
Shameless is not a skank, and neither is Kane.
I didn't say she was.
Okay.
Well, are you dating Shameless now? Are you dating Sam? I had no
No, but
idea.
I've been accidentally charming around them in chat and stuff. So, and Jeff has seen this. He's a firsthand witness. He would
It's
testify
not
Joe,
so
in
much the
court.
charm, but the
all right. So, well, Joe,
prioritization
will you? Yeah, so, Joe,
and
will you admit?
deprioritization of conversations.
So, Joe, will you admit
It's
at
the
least you're bi?
monotropism.
Joe, would you admit you're bi-curious? Would you admit that you're
Dude,
curious?
who are you?
No, I couldn't admit that because that's not how I feel.
Sally Jesse Raphael?
I mean, if you're
Joe,
asking a straight question and you want a straight answer, well, a double entendre, I guess, right?
yeah. So, Joe, do you want a tickle in your pickle?
No,
Yeah, Mike is trolling now. This is complete
yeah,
troll.
that's what I think this is. Who the fuck is texting me from a 517 area code?
517.
Are they
Let's see,
Scottish?
that is Lansing, Michigan. That's some bullshit. I don't know anyone there.
Yeah, yeah.
Fuck.
I get them. I get them all the time. They call the house all the time. I love it. I love it.
Let's see. Ricardo says he's scraping pans with the wire brush. Oh wow.
You should never do that because
I-
it scrapes the pan. It scrapes the pan.
Mhm.
Yeah, Jeff. I've been doing some good diligence on the other. I can't even talk right now. I'm so tired.
Oh
Due
yeah,
diligence.
we'll have to talk.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Welcome back, Leggy.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
it seems
Ed.
like your connection keeps
Well, yeah, I don't know
fritzing
what the
out.
fuck's going. I don't know what's going on. It's like my audio and video keeps
Well,
fucking.
if you're around later tonight, maybe we can do another game or something like Powers
Yeah.
Monopoly with the real
You should make
boards.
like a gay game, like a game that's just gay,
I'm sure they have it. They've
yeah.
got to have Game Monopoly.
Like a game night. It's like a flaming
I would
monopoly.
love a game night. We have
Game
Jackbox too.
night.
We have all those Jackbox games.
A
Like
game
if you
night. Can you
pass,
spell game with a Y?
like if you pass go, you don't get $200. You get like a dude.
It's
Like,
ugly and it has like a gay leather crocodile on it. What the? Hang on. What is this?
uh,
What? Look at this. What's gay about? Look, he has all his hankies. Oh my god,
game monopoly.
the
Holy
Cajun
Mike,
leather
what is your
boy.
fascination with gay stuff, though?
I don't have
All
an
of a sudden,
obsession, bro. I don't.
are
But I
you
think
are
I,
you are
I
you
think
trying
Oh,
to?
it
Are
was
you
released in
trying to
1983 by a company called Parker Sisters.
yeah.
Parker? Praise
Leggy,
him.
Leggy, I think that you want to be a gay man, and if you want to be a gay man, I'll support
What
you.
y'all are
What
way
are you
more
talking
gay
about? I
about all
just
this
asked
than
if
I
you're
am.
trying
I
to
know. I
troll
don't think
Jeff.
that about any of y'all.
I just
I'll
asked a
totally
question.
support you. Yeah,
I was
because
just
I'm not.
asking you a question. If you were trying to troll Jeff with all the gay stuff.
Oh my god,
That's all I was asking.
What we
the
got? What we got?
tokens are like look like handcuffs and pups and little teddy bears.
Jeff is
Wow, I
he's
want to
seeing
get a
something
copy
in
of
this.
this.
Yeah, definitely.
Ollie Sleazebag instead of Community Chest.
Leggy, do you want me to be gay? Do you want me to be gay? Is that what you want?
Holy fuck, Mike. You're taking it. You're not even answering the question. I just
Look,
asked
look,
if you were
look,
This is
trolling
another
Jeff.
Jack and Chuck thing. This is not going to get resolved. Y'all just
let me let
don't
me let
like
me
each
let me
other
take
on
it.
some deep
No, it's okay. It's
I
okay.
just
It's okay.
animal
asked if he
level,
was
and it's
trying to
better to
troll
just
Yeah,
you. Is
admit
all
yeah,
I
that
let
and
me
did.
try
take
to
it.
be as mature as
Because
possible
he
when you're
said
on
a lot
panels
of.
together.
He's just brought up stuff about being gay a
Y'all
lot. So I
both
just
do it.
asked if
I've
he was
seen it.
trying to
I've
troll you.
seen it. You both
Yeah, let me
troll.
take it. Let me take it. So, Leggy, I'm not gay. I'm not gay, but I
I
have no
didn't say
problem.
you was. I asked if you were trying to
I'm
troll
not saying
Jeff.
you did. So relax. Just calm down.
And
What
you
I'm
were
saying
asking
is,
Leggy if he wanted to be gay, but you're both doing it. This is
I'm
that
just
circular
asking a question.
trolling that we're let's get out.
Look,
Let's get
I
out of
even
it. It's
changed
in a
my
loop.
avatar. Look, I even changed my avatar.
Is that Woody?
No, it's not Woody.
Who is that?
That's the Slim Jim man.
Oh,
Okay.
I didn't even
So,
know they had a man.
Leggy, let me ask you a question. I
I
want to
thought it
ask
was
you
that
now.
wrestler.
Do you think that you are relevant, or like what you do is funny, or anything
Do
like
I
that?
think I'm a relevant person in this vast world of trillions of people?
You're
No.
both
All I'm
relevant.
asking. It's all
You're
I'm
Nope.
both
asking.
relevant. Mike,
Nope.
this is drama court.
I'm only
Stop trying to
relevant.
get it for free.
Look, Mike. I'm only relevant in my family. Other than that, I'm not relevant anywhere else.
Okay. So, Leggy, do you think that I'm much more important than you?
Do I think what?
I'm much more important than you.
Do I think you're more important than me?
Yes. Yes.
No. That's a
Okay.
very
I'm, I'm,
weird and
I'm,
odd
I'm only
question, Mike.
asking. I'm only asking your opinion. It's only.
That's a very odd question to ask. Why do you want to know if I think you are valued more than
Well,
me?
the reason being is I think that people would want me on their panel 100 times more than you. And
Well,
do
I
you
mean,
agree with
yeah, because they create money off of you and content. Me, I don't
money,
create
not
content.
content?
So your
Or
point's
a good
what?
conversation, maybe? Not a half asleep guy?
Half asleep? What are you
I love
talking about?
Leggies on the panel.
What the fuck are you talking about? Last night,
I
what?
have no
How
problem with
many
his
people on
participation.
YouTube have ever seen me on YouTube past 9 o'clock?
I think
So
Leggy
why?
could voice a character in like an animation for lots of money.
Oh yeah.
Right?
I think they both could voice characters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's more
So
obvious with
why?
Leggy why.
So Leggy, why do I upset you so much? Why do you obsess over me? Why do you talk about me on
Jeff, Jeff, Jeff.
Hang,
Come on, I
Mike,
had to
this is
pay for this
drama
shit.
court.
I had
You
to
pay.
pay for this shit.
Yeah, Leggy had to pay for this last night, so I can't
For
let you
his
have it for
bullshit.
free.
For the same shit he's doing. I
Yeah.
paid so
So
he could run his mouth last night.
right,
So
last
come
night
on.
was
All
the
right.
chance to do all this. Hey,
Exactly.
Chuck.
All I
Never
ask is the
fear.
man
I
to
Hey,
tell
am
the
leggy,
here.
leggy,
truth.
leggy.
Okay, he's back. I'll stop.
What's up, Chuck? Catch us up. What's going on?
Oh, just trying. Who's the girl on the panel?
That was Mike.
Jeez. Oh, damn.
There are no
Okay.
girls on the
But
panel.
Damn,
well, it
I
sounded like one.
that girl, right, Chuck?
Okay.
Yep.
So Chuck catches
Just
it. Mike,
just trying to get things
if I kick you
situated.
off, you're not going to be able to pay the $5 to get back on.
Oh, don't kick him off. He's
The judge
so
is managing his risk.
adorable and squeezable and
Maybe Chuck will
lovable. Don't
cover it
kick
for
him
you if
off.
he
I'm
wants you on enough.
squeezable and adorable. So, Chuck, how long have you been out of the closet? How long have you been out of the closet?
I'm just.
See,
Chuck,
he's
just
I'm
on
say the
this
just.
whole
word.
kick upon everybody's
Just let me
day
know.
today. I'm so confused. Can I pay to kick Mike off the panel? Is that an option?
No,
Well, Chuck said,
I'll pay to
no,
put him
Chuck said
I
back.
think if y'all are
adorable.
smart, y'all could save your money and just let him
Yeah,
keep
Chuck said
talking.
adorable and squeezable. So, Chuck, how long have you been out of the closet? I'm just asking you a question. I'm just
Wait, hang
asking
What,
on.
you.
Chuck? You said
Hang
you
on.
pay to bring him back?
Hang on. I got Chuck up here to give us an update on what's going on in his life
Yeah.
because I hadn't heard from him in a while. So I want to focus on that. Chuck.
Oh, I'm just trying to get things situated with the daughter and the granddaughter because they're moving in with me for a while.
Oh, I thought they
And
were already.
well, they're here, but it's just a matter of trying to get routines uh set so that we're not running into each other's way and shit like that.
Oh yeah,
So
because it's the
it takes
It's her and the daughter.
the daughter and the granddaughter, yeah.
Well,
And
Chuck,
when you
well,
got an
Chuck,
autistic
well,
child,
there
it
could be
takes a
words
little
out in the
bit of
family.
practice to navigate the minefield.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, because you have to integrate them with his needs.
Yeah. Yep.
it's complicated, and Chuck, everything with the family, God bless, man. I'm not even I'm not trolling or being an asshole or anything like that, but good luck with that, man,
Hey,
because
it is what
it's
it is.
yeah,
I'm the daddy. That's my job.
it's complicated. It's complicated when you're dealing with youngins. So
Youngins.
Yes,
I wish they
just
was
Yowins.
the young
youngins.
ones.
The Yowins.
yeah, good luck with that, man. Good luck with that.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
I could
good to
tell
But
see
you.
yeah,
you, Chuck.
I could tell.
we're just
I could tell Chuck's a good dad. So good luck,
we're
man.
just trying to get routines in line, things like that. Get back accustomed because I mean she is 41, so it's like, all right, you got your way, we got our ways, we got to meet in the middle,
Yeah, yeah, I
type
understand.
of thing.
Well, good luck, man. I ain't
Good luck.
bullshitting. You know,
Good luck. I'll marry her ass off. That'd be good
we're talking
luck.
about we're talking about kids and family, so no one should talk shit about anyone's kids or family.
Oh,
That's
ain't no reason to do that. I mean, they're
Well, they
shitheads
certainly don't do it
anyway.
on this panel. I don't allow that.
it.
Exactly.
That's it. Good luck, brother. Good luck.
Okay.
Chuck, you seem like a good dad, man. So
But you don't have to suck up to me, Mike. That's okay. I'm a big boy.
I'm not sucking up to you. I'm a good dad. I'm a good dad. I take care of my kids. So I'm just giving you some kudos. You seem like a good dad. That's all.
But yeah, I stayed married. I did what I was supposed to do.
Okay. That's great.
I mean, he's
But
right.
I'll gladly trade her for a couple of 30-year-olds.
Spoken like a true husband right there. How
There
long you
you
guys
go,
been married,
lady.
Chuck?
Well, I have to admit this. For the last few months, I've been lying. I thought it was 44 years. It's only been 43 years.
Gotcha.
Eh,
Does she know?
Yeah,
I've been
because
with
I was
my
trying to
wife 10 years and been married to her for 7.
set up the 45th wedding anniversary, and she informed me that I was a wee bit too early.
Mm.
So then she gets to keep her gift from last year and say that was
Uh,
44 as well. We have to catch up.
yeah. Well, we got screwed out of our 40th. We were supposed to go to Hawaii for our 40th, but court screwed that up. So, or
Mm.
30th, whatever the hell it was, 30th anniversary, we were going to go to Hawaii.
But then I got tied up in court for 2 months, so that, I mean, not 2 months, 2 years, so that screwed that up. Because that
Wow.
one
To the
cost,
point that you
that,
couldn't go to Hawaii.
well, it cost me over 25 grand those 2 years. Because I had to sue the state of Illinois,
Well,
but
the
I
best way.
won.
What did they do to you?
In Illinois, grandparents don't have any rights, or at least they didn't have. I don't know about now. But back in 2009, 2010, 11, they didn't have any rights for grandparents. You were treated like the scum of the earth, like everybody else.
Like fathers?
Worse than that,
Mm.
we had no say. That's why I had to hire a damn attorney. And
You were
it took
trying to
two
get what?
years
Visitation or custody?
custody.
Oh, okay.
Even temporary custody was a battle with them.
Yeah.
Were you trying
But
to
they
rescue
wanted to
your
go,
grandchildren from like a bad situation?
yeah. And it was one at the time.
Okay.
And oh yeah. So then not only did I have to pay for him, I had to pay for the daughter too, for her taste.
Is
I'm
this the
like,
same
geez,
daughter?
the middle daughter. The
Oh.
middle daughter, not the oldest one. But you got to do what you got to do. You produce them, so you're responsible for them.
Hmm.
The way I look at it, that kid didn't do anything wrong to anybody, so he deserved to fight. So that's what I did. Is I fought. I fought tooth and nail.
And you
I
ended up
used,
getting custody?
yeah, twice a month I had to drive 260 miles to court for 2 years. But it was a blessing.
Wow.
After after we won, the next month is when I became disabled. Had I become disabled before that, I wouldn't have got custody.
Wow.
So
I hope we still have parents like you.
it's not that hard, believe it or not.
It is.
So many people seem to
Well,
resent the idea of kids these days. It's sad.
it is. I've been watching some court cases on YouTube, and it just makes me want to cry. The way people treat their kids as if they're. Well, that was the biggest problem I have with my daughter's husband, boyfriend, whatever you want to call him, this last go around, because he treated her and the granddaughter as property as opposed to people. But
Yeah, that's something
I
I've
kept
noticed.
my I kept my mouth shut until I couldn't keep it shut anymore, and I unloaded both barrels on the kid. Well, he's not a kid; he's 41, but I couldn't I couldn't take it no more. And then his dad wanted to fight me. And I'm like, okay, bring it on. 911.
They should call you Chuck Norris.
Hey, I grew up in the streets, Jeff. They make tire irons for a reason.
You seem so different than the other people. There's a lot of street folk that find their way here.
Well,
Oh
You
yeah,
seem
that was
very
like in
different
Kane's
from them.
channel.
we were upper middle class, to be honest,
That's
at the
not
time.
streets. The upper middle
But
class streets. The
but the
gated subdivision
neighborhood,
streets were rough.
no, it wasn't gated. So maybe it wasn't upper, but he was on the upper end of middle class. But the neighborhood I lived in the area we lived, officially became basically the first ghetto of the community. And when I say ghetto, I mean ghetto.
Degeneration. right
Yes.
there, without even
Yep.
leaving, going anywhere.
Well, I can remember being a kid and we had a black man and a white woman move into the neighborhood, and they quickly got a cross burned.
Oh, they were a couple.
Yeah.
What year
Interesting.
was this?
It would have been late 60s, about
Late
68.
'60s.
Yeah.
This was in St. Louis.
Suburbs. Yeah.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
My dad, uh, he pushed the limits to a point. There was a fellow electrician he worked with, and he'd invite him over and drink beer with him outside, but he wasn't allowed to go in the house. Not because dad didn't want him in the house, dad didn't want the house burned down. But he defied a bunch of the norms back then by even having the guy at the house.
You mean this guy was black?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
we're
my
talking like, I imagine we're
my
talking
signal's going
like
out. I can't hear.
50s, 50s,
No,
60s.
I'm talking
Late '60s.
late 60s.
A few.
Yeah, late
I was born in.
60s.
It's like a few years before I was born. They were still burning
Oh, we
crosses.
we used to have race riots in high school. And when I say race riots, when the race riots would break out, the whole school would empty out, all 578 of us.
Well,
And
you
it'd
wait.
be
You were out of school by the time segregation hit.
no,
Yeah, because I was the first generation of segregation. When were you in school?
You mean non-segregation?
Desegregation. Yeah.
Yeah.
I graduated in 77, 78.
Oh, okay. Then you're younger than I realized.
Yeah, I was born in 60.
Oh shit,
But
you're younger than
yeah,
my pops.
oh yeah, but it was terrible in St. Louis at that time. They still believed in you make sure you're on the right side of the tracks when the sun goes down. Yeah, I still remember all that crap. That's why, I seen three people get killed over the N word in high school. And that's why I take
By
so much,
students.
yeah, yeah. When I
Yes,
say
sir.
race riots, I mean, it was on. There, it was black against white. It didn't matter who it was.
Wow. We didn't have
So, like
anything like that.
white students who said the N word and got killed for it.
Yeah,
Okay.
By black
yeah,
people.
yeah,
So they poked the
yeah,
they
because
they fafoed.
yeah, because back then it was honky or cracker, take your pick, that they would use. But the N word, especially the early 70s, it got crazy. When the fights would break out at school, here come the knives, the chains, the brass knuckles, you name it.
Mr. Clark.
Well, I don't know if Mr. Clark could have done any good. They used to call the riot squad in there all the time from the
My
state
God, I
police.
thought our generation was violent. I've been watching all these movies, thinking how degenerate our generation was. We weren't doing any of that.
Well, when JFK first got shot, what was I, 4, almost 5, somewhere thereabouts. They the area thought for sure it was a black person that did it automatically. Didn't even no evidence, no nothing. They just
So they were
assumed.
just making up narratives even then.
Yes, that's why these people nowadays they disregard things, and they don't realize how it was back then. They just take everything as a grain of salt nowadays, but back then, shit, people, like I said, people would get killed over that word.
Well, good thing that's not happening now. Good thing they're taking it with grains of salt.
Not me. I still take it personal for
If somebody
personal
called you a
reasons.
cracker,
No, the N word.
oh,
I don't cotton to that language at all. At all. The only thing worse than that is white trash, and the only thing worse than that is drug dealers. If I had my way, drug dealers would get immediate death row.
Isn't that what Trump wanted to do?
That's what
I
they did
don't
in the
know.
Philippines.
Yeah,
Did
I
you hear
remember
about that?
that.
Does someone
Who
have to
was?
actually die first from an overdose?
Duterte, President Duterte did that.
Yes, he did. It was an automatic. Automatic. I remember that. In the United States,
They
it's
weren't
like,
even
whoa, buddy,
doing a death sentence. They were just like shooting people. In the police were just shooting the drug dealers in the
on
streets
the
and killing
spot.
them.
On
Yeah,
the spot.
they took them
I
out.
remember that.
The drug crime disappeared over there.
I don't see nothing wrong with that.
Due
Well,
process.
the people in the Philippines like it. He's a very popular person there. So I did get to go on one date this year. It was a Filipina chick, and she told me about Duterte, and she said he is seen as like this father figure who's like
Because he
tough,
handles the
but
crime. People don't
he's
want a
tough,
bunch of crime.
but he keeps people safe, and he basically provides for the people of the Philippines, and they
Yeah,
feel
even
like they
though
got
he's
exactly what they
crooked.
wanted
Yeah.
from him.
Yep.
Like that, they're not. He did not upset their expectations. They didn't vote for him and think, oh, he didn't do. No, he did exactly what they wanted him to do.
And I can remember back when Carter was president, you could have compared him to Biden nowadays.
Oh
Sitting in an
yeah.
office, twiddling his thumbs, not knowing what to do.
Mm-hmm.
He was not a very good, on the international market, he wasn't a very good president.
Mm-hmm. Especially like the stuff going down with Iran at the time.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
got
because
played by
I
Iran
made 2
and Reagan.
plane trips over there.
Mhm.
We thought for sure we was,
I mean, his biggest thing and disapproval was because of all them hostages over there back in the day, and
yep,
then how the negotiations broke down. Although I did just watch this documentary, I believe it was either on Amazon or Netflix, one of the two, and it was talking about it, and they were talking about how it may have been a coup for Reagan. Was Reagan the president after him?
yes.
So they said that it might have been a coup on the, or as far as the Stalin to make his approval rating to go down, and like it was just this theory that got thrown out there, and I thought it was a
Oh,
very
I know what
plausible.
you're talking about. Well, see, we went to Iran once under Carter, and that was a failed attempt because the 2 helicopters crashed into each other and gave us the way. So we had to get the hell out of Dodge. People don't remember that. That's when the 444 days on CNN, and Carter cut our pay drastically in the military. We were hurting. I mean, I was getting food stamps being in the military back then. And then Reagan told them, "We're going to kick your ass." They let the hostages go, and then they took some more. So this would have been early 80s. We jumped in an airplane and we headed that way. Air Force, the Army, the Navy, the Marines.
Oh
We
yeah,
were
I
on
remember
our.
that. My
We
civics
flew
teacher was in the
around.
Marines. He told me about
Yeah,
this.
yeah. We
He was
flew
on a
around
yeah.
in the sky in an airplane for 36 hours, waiting for Reagan to give us the green light to go. And then we finally ended up landing in North Carolina at Fort Bragg, and we were held there for 30 days. Uh, Wives that had no idea where you were at because Reagan didn't know if he was going to have to send us in or not at the time. You remember? Yeah, you talked to someone, Joe, about that?
Oh yeah, my civics teacher. I mean, this would have been in like uh like 2007 or something.
Mm-hmm.
But he was in the Marines during the Iran hostage crisis, and he remembers being out on a ship out in the
Yep.
Persian Gulf, waiting to be dropped into Iran in case it blew up. You know.
Yep. Yep. And what they did, people don't realize, they called it an alert. You'd be at home, and the phone would ring, and they'd give you a code word, and you'd have to report to base, get to base, and automatically jump on a plane and leave. Family would call into the base, and no, we don't know where they're at. No, we haven't seen them because it was a classified mission. There's a whole bunch of people involved in that mess. But we did what we had to do at the time, or what we thought we had to do or going to do. I'm not saying it was right or wrong, but at the time, it just seemed like that's what we were supposed to do. How did he talk any more about it, Joe?
Um, he he was more of the perspective that he and his fellow Marines are grateful that Jimmy Carter did not escalate the situation that caused them to, have to
But he,
fight on the front
he
lines of a major war.
Carter did. He sent
Well,
a group of us over there, advance
good.
party.
Oh yeah, that did happen.
And if you look, it's not very well talked about, but it did happen.
Yeah, it failed. It like crashed or whatever.
Yep, and gave everything away at that point. The helicopters ended up sucking up so much sand that it caused them to crash because the engine stalled.
Yeah,
How long was he on the boat? Did he say?
I don't remember. And this conversation was what
Oh yeah, I realize that.
17 years ago now. So, um,
Plus, if you think about it, how many years before that was it that he actually
yeah,
went through it?
yeah, that would have been about uh 30 years prior. Yeah, so
Something like that. Real
yeah.
close.
Yeah, so but I will say this, I did later learn that he was a Democrat, so he might have already liked
Oh,
Jimmy Carter.
what happened to the guy? Oh Lord.
I think he was probably already a Democrat, and he just happened to be in the Marine Corps.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, so some Marines are Democrats inevitably. They can't all be, I guess, more Republican oriented.
Well, back
But yeah,
then, Democrats were different than what they are nowadays, except for
that's
Carter.
true.
Carter was extremely socially minded.
Yeah, I think the only thing he was a bit different in that, as a Southern Baptist, he was not very willing to help out abortion. He did things like to reduce funding for it that drew
Yeah.
criticism, but that's about it. Yeah, Carter's
It,
he's sort of
didn't
an odd
he?
one
Or
too.
yeah, he wasn't. He was a governor, but he was not cut out to be a president
Yeah, he's
because
I think you need to be tough to be president, and he was too much of
his
a Southern gentleman.
yeah his geopolitical was limited.
That's where the Republicans beat the Democrats a lot, except for of course like Bush, but
Which Bush?
Demo- Bush Jr.
Yeah, Bush Jr. That's for sure.
No, I mean Bush Sr. I mean his Iraq War went much better. I mean they just executed perfectly almost. Um, and then just in general, like with Trump, it's just if there's one thing that he actually did well in his presidency, I think it was the geopolitical stuff because that came
Yes.
to a lot of it him being a deal maker, and that's where he can do things more as just a unilateral deal maker. He doesn't always have to go through Congress for stuff, and he got people to listen to him, right? So there's just like he assassinated the Iranian general, right? And
Yeah.
it basically said, hey, don't continue to push us. And Iran didn't do shit about it. They were like,
Well, that's just like Obama told Syria, don't use chemical weapons. They did, and he didn't do anything. They did it under Trump, and Trump spanked their ass.
Exactly. Yeah. Obama had that problem where he wasn't quite as willing. Like he was willing to do drone strikes on villages and take collateral
Yep,
damage, but
cheap
like
shot,
some,
cheap
something that
shots.
would something like that would offend a greater power or maybe even put them in their place. He wasn't willing to do that enough. The fact
Well,
that
even
Crimea was taken under Obama, right? Crimea was taken under Obama, and that's what
yep,
started. It led to this current war, and I think it's
yep.
because the Russians see the Democrats as weak, whereas Republicans wouldn't have let that happen. I don't think,
I don't think so either.
especially
And
Biden. Like Obama was at least youthful, but then Biden is a dementia patient in the White House. Of course, Russia
but
invaded Ukraine.
but seriously, looking back at it, Obama didn't do a damn thing.
Mhm.
Period.
He had no like geopolitical mission, like other than he wanted to end the war in Iraq. But as far as like what is America's place in the world, he didn't know. He did not know. Hillary Clinton did
Right.
not know that. They couldn't figure anything out.
Well, yeah, like when under Clinton, when the USS Cole got bombed, he really didn't. Even though he did the Somalia missions, Black Hawk Down type stuff, which was a failure. It just he was trying to do limited incursion and it didn't work.
Well, I think there were some things that Clinton managed to get done in the initial honeymoon that we had after the Soviet Union
Well,
fell.
I
He did
will say,
facilitate things with like the troubles in Ireland and bringing that to an
yep,
end.
and he
He very
did
nearly,
manage to work. He did manage to work with the Republican Congress.
yeah, yeah, and he also almost he very nearly got that peace deal with Israel and Palestine. It'd just be amazing to think what would be going on right now if he had succeeded.
I think the same thing.
It was really just Arafat being stubborn. Like I don't think that was
Oh yeah.
like, and the thing is, if Arafat had just said yes, like Gaza
Well,
and the
he
West Bank would be doing so much
he
better right
did
now.
say yes, and then he reneged. Is
Yeah,
what happened. Because remember,
and
wasn't it Clinton that brought Arafat and Begin to the Camp David?
yeah, it was very close. Like the Israelis were going to give like almost everything the Palestinians wanted, but the Palestinians really wanted
Statehood.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but that would have resolved the bulk of the conflict. But that's the problem too. If Arafat agreed to that, then he would have had no power in Palestine anymore, and he
Yeah,
would have
you got to
become
remember
irrelevant.
that's when Hamas got voted into power.
Yeah, and I think that's why the Israelis have had a more right-leaning government since then, is because they
Hmm.
remember that they tried with a more liberal approach in the 90s. They got their hands slapped away, and they said, "Okay, we're going to be tough now." And I think that they've never really been given a serious reason to think that that approach is wrong, um, because there just has not been much of an entreaty for coexistence as close as to what they got in the 90s since then.
I was talking to a guy that lives in Israel,
Mm.
and before the October 7th thing last year, he said 10 years at least, the town he lived in, that there was rockets that would come over from Palestine every day, whether it be one or two or 10. And they kind of got numb to it,
Mhm.
which was I found fascinating. I'm like, how do you live
It
like that?
is. It is fascinating. Did you actually ever see any combat action in your time?
Uh, Grenada.
Okay. So yeah, with your experience in that, it's odd to you that like because you see that as the exception, right? That's what you try to avoid, but then like to be numb to it is odd to you.
To me, yeah, even being in the military, it
Yeah.
was odd a constant barrage like that.
Right.
And
Because I mean,
I'm not trying to take over Jeff's panel now.
yeah.
No,
Well, I
you're
think
fine. You
it's
enjoy talking.
interesting, but it's like I mean, the military, you you're trained for a decisive action, decisive result, and so that you would just keep going on and you just get numb to it. It's just it boggles the mind, right?
I guess if it was happening every day, I guess you would get numb to it. If I really think about it, it become part of everyday life. But can you imagine having to live like that?
Yeah.
I can't.
And then
I'd have to. I'd have to pack my bags and move.
yeah, but yeah, going back, so Clinton had some of those. He managed to ride some of the waves of like the post Cold War honeymoon well. We actually kind of had a decent relationship with Russia between Yeltsin and Clinton.
Yep.
Bush and Putin were not as well suited to each other as Clinton and Yeltsin were, so that was unfortunate.
Gorbachev and Reagan had a. Even though they didn't see eye to eye, they were able to see eye to eye.
Uh-huh. Oh, Miss Booth said, "I don't vote. Words are spoken with so much promise, but when in power, then promises mean nothing."
Well, the problem is, and period to me is you don't give the president the authority to go to war. That should be Congress by the Constitution.
Mhm.
You don't slack on your job. You take it up as a country, as a nation, not leaving it up to one individual to
Well, now they
decide.
have little loopholes though, where
I know.
they can.
Authorization for use of military force,
Yeah,
AUMF.
and then I think another problem too, is promises meaning nothing, is that most politicians run with too many promises. Like they want to run, they're like they've got a platform with like 20, 30 things, and they should really have like 3 or 4 goals that they're really trying to get done in that term, and everything else is negotiable because it's just too difficult of a balancing act to try and deliver on 20 or 30 different things. Like one thing I think is interesting is President James K. Polk. His main goal was resolving the border crisis between the U.S. and Mexico at the time, due to the Texas annexation and dispute on what Texas's southern border was supposed to be, and resolving it in a way that was very favorable for the U.S. and probably got us more territory. So, that resulted in the Mexican-American War, which the U.S. won. We not only got the southern border with Texas that we wanted, which was the Rio Grande, but we basically captured the entire Southwest from Mexico. And once that was done, he did not run for a second term. And it's because he got it done exactly what he wanted. He did not overcomplicate his presidency with other goals he was trying to pursue that he would have just distracted him, and they would have been vulnerabilities that detracted from the bigger mission. And a lot of people do not run like that anymore. They want to deliver everything under the sun, and you can't do that.
Yeah, promise you the moon and give you a piece of cheese.
But also, I don't think we would vote for somebody who, like your average voter today, if they're like running on like 3 or 4 big important goals for that like constituency, however big or small. So it's just your local congressman or president. President makes more sense to have more things, but still, I think a lot of people really want candidates who will just do everything, and then they get upset when they can't do everything, and
I don't
they could
think
just
those are.
settle.
I don't think serious people think that way. I think those
Well,
are the
so that goes to think how
politically
serious
naive and
I
the
think people are.
dilettantes.
Everybody cries
Yeah.
about the military budget. Military budget is what, maybe
I don't cry about it.
13%. And the
Well,
social budget is
It's way large. We went over it
25,
the other day. They have 3 different ways
it's,
they allot the budget,
but it's
and
25% of the budget compared to 13%.
more of it does go to social services.
but
What's
And
up,
a lot,
Tommy?
Right.
yeah, a lot
it
of the
doesn't
military
matter
budget goes
because
into civilian projects too. It's just
I'm
technically under the military umbrella.
I mean it matters in the sense for people to worry about it, but really we're going to print what we need and sweep it all under the rug for the next system we switch to. Because I realized whenever Flo was bitching that he goes, man, they give me credit cards and I ruin my credit and then they offer me more credit cards. That's what's happened all the way up the ladder. That's what's always happened is
Yep.
that. But even on like a country level or a world funding level, it's just that.
Well, we're going to hit a breaking point pretty soon. We got to.
Yeah, that's
We
when we go cashless. That's going to be either a white or African American swan event, and we'll switch to cashless. And
because
that's
we
when they're
can't
going to sweep
continue to go trillion.
everything they've kicked down the road since 2008 and earlier. They'll sweep it all under the rug for what we go to.
You know, that's
And
one
who
thing I'll
cares?
give Clinton credit for. He did come out with a balanced budget.
Well, you know how Jack was always trying to go with the what's that guy Jacques what's his dick? The Earth. What was his thing called? The Venus Project. People would always say, well, if there's no money involved, how are you going to get people to build it to start with if you're not paying them? And it's like that's technically what we're already doing is you could pay them to build it and then when it's done be like, guess what? The money's kind of irrelevant. And that's even using money, it's still you got what you needed and wanted, you did the work, and this was just a system to show that in process. But I'm taking it to that LSD level. The real reason we focus on elections and the fairness of count is because you can only vote for the people that they've provided for you that you had no choice in.
Well, there is a
That's not
choice. There's a
true.
primary
That's not
process
true.
that chooses the candidates. I don't know if
Exactly.
people know that. And
Oh,
they can
what?
participate with their local party.
Yeah, you mean like write-ins and stuff?
No,
No,
delegates and caucuses being sent to the conventions to help choose
Right,
the.
right, but those are still like
They're not. It's
uh,
not people. It's not a closed process where like people go off in a room and choose a candidate, and the public has no input, and then they come out and say, "Here is your Democratic candidate." That's not the process for how
well, there
candidates
is
get chosen.
like you said, there's caucuses and then there's a pre-vote. Because here in Colorado, the first time that Trump ran, a guy I worked with was on the Republican caucus, and he said a guy came in the middle of the night or came into the caucus and said, Colorado is for what the fuck's his name? Damn it, the guy with the ears that smacks the mic in that video I play. The guy that smacks the mic in the Jeb is a mess video. I can never remember his fucking name. Anyway, they were like, it's not Trump, it's this dude, and they didn't even get to do the caucus thing. But
talking about Ted.
I'm saying everyone that gets in there is some kind of pre-approved ball player to the World Banking Ponzi scheme.
Mm,
I don't believe that.
I don't either.
I do. I'm not saying you have to believe me. I believe that. But Chuck, what you were saying about the military thing, about how if you were in war just all the time, how it would just be like part of who you are at some point. I think it was Band of Brothers, like the segments in between the show where they had actual veterans talking about their time. Some of those guys were in World War One and World War Two for so long and had survived so long as a unit that when they came back and weren't walking around with guns as a crew and stuff, they didn't have like the confidence that they had over there, like overseas as a surgical combat group.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy. But that's still better than if we go to a civil war, because that's just the purge with no ending siren in the morning. Like
Oh,
as hard as it sounds to believe, at least in war, there is some kind of Geneva Convention rules to it. If we have a civil war, it's just the purge.
yeah, I hope not, because we already had one. We don't need another
I
one.
don't think we're headed there at all.
No, I don't. I think they'll avoid it, but it's just like that recent movie that came out. That is what it would be like.
Oh,
You wouldn't know which way is up.
that was so bad. I tried to watch that one.
I just know the meme guy. The okay, what kind of Americans are you? With the party glasses. Wait, I got his picture. I was rocking it for a bit. Okay, what kind of panel is this?
Oh,
It's a gay panel.
It's a dying panel.
Uh-oh, everybody leaving?
I don't know. The conversation's dying.
Well,
Well,
three.
I was trying to be nice and let Tommy have a speak.
And does I
'Cause me-
mean, does every panel have to be a action-packed roller
No.
coaster ride?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
Does
was
not.
happy with this gentle political conversation between Chuck and Joe.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a far cry in between nowadays.
I have a logic puzzle going in the background.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
fine.
Did we
it's
lose Mike
easier.
and Leggy?
We did lose Mike. But I will say
And
this kind
Leggy.
of thing's easier to navigate than knowing how to work with Mike's gay jokes and stuff, you know.
So I
Yeah,
got your
he's
afternoon. Damn it.
Hey,
he's
Buster.
extremely caught up on
Oh,
the
that's
gay
Buster.
thing.
I thought you dropped Mike in on.
Just
No.
Busker.
It's just Busker.
That's
Oh,
just Buster.
I mean, you know,
another
You
gay
like
man.
how I
What
had
can
that
we
can
say?
dropping in the
the
trash
gay
can.
man with an
Thank you.
accordion.
Well, you know, only gay men play accordion.
I know somebody called me gay because I wanted to play the accordion when I wanted to start playing the accordion because I was playing punk rock before that. And they're like, "What are you gay?"
Oh, they said the accordion was gay. They
Yeah,
don't. They're just ignorant. They don't know culture.
well,
Usually,
like,
They don't
punk rockers-
understand good music, Jeff.
well,
No,
once,
punk rockers are usually eclectic like that. Oh, that's surprising.
but
Unless
you
you're
know
talking
what?
about jocks.
The thing is though, once the Pogues came around, like once they were around, but once they came on to their scene, then all of a sudden it was like the shit. Because the Pogues were like punk without fucking electric instruments.
You know,
Yeah.
I hadn't been to a wedding in a while, but used to weddings, if you didn't play a polka,
Oh no,
the crowd would get upset.
polka's not my thing, dude. I can't do.
The
you're
best
mentioning-
polka is when Weird Al does a mix of current pop hits as polka. That shit gets me, man. That shit is best
Yeah,
polka.
I heard he trolled everyone on his last show. His one show, I don't know.
Like live show?
Yeah, I heard something about that.
Yeah,
That Weird Al trolled people.
he didn't play any of his songs. He just played like a whole bunch of some instrumental stuff. Glop, I guess. Like people didn't like it, and a lot of people were really pissed off. So he officially trolled everybody.
Well, did you hear about the Joker 2 movie?
Oh yeah, it probably sucks dick.
People are walking out before halfway.
Because it probably
It's a
sucks
musical. It's not a movie.
What?
It's a musical.
What?
Dick. Oh God!
It makes sense
no.
because isn't Harley Quinn Lady Gaga?
Oh
Yep.
God!
Yeah, it makes sense.
Dude, that's
They made a musical out of it.
it's fucking.
And people were expecting a Joker movie, and they got a musical. And
And the
There was
first
one guy-
good. They had set it up.
I was
to-
reading his commentary, and he paid like $20 to get into the theater. And he said after 10 minutes, he was the only guy in the theater.
Oh yeah, dude. I can totally see that happening. I'm surprised the critical drinker. He's like a critic of Hollywood stuff.
Oh, and
I
you
mean,
guys
who-
remember whenever Joaquin Phoenix was doing some like weird shit on his, like he was putting out some weird stuff himself. So yeah, I could see him and
course,
Lady Gaga
he-
going in on that.
he did a lot of indie stuff.
He went around doing freestyle competitions and shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hell, who remembers Bye Bye Birdie?
I was in
Really?
Bye Bye Birdie.
Was you?
Yeah, in high school.
Were you like the?
Damn.
I was chorus. I was one of the guys in the back. I had to wear like a black motorcycle jacket and some jeans and a white T-shirt. So I was one of like the
Whoa,
high
dude.
school
So wait a
kid,
minute.
outsider kids.
Are you saying I can
So you
watch?
was a biker bitch. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like the biker bitch.
Wait, well, are you serious? I could watch this movie and
No, it's in a local high school before. I don't think it was filmed.
Oh, okay.
Not the Bye Bye Birdie, just the production of Bye Bye Birdie.
Fuck.
Yeah, I'm a pinball wizard, and in high school they spelled my name out on the field.
Tommy. Yep.
You know,
Oh, I just got it. Just keep.
Tommy the pinball wizard.
He was a Spurg too.
Yep.
sure plays a mean pinball.
Well, he was like he was like distorted and like had a lot of problems or something.
Yeah, he like
blind.
went nonverbal.
He was blind.
Like,
Deaf, dumb, and blind.
deaf, dumb, and blind boy.
I'm a Helen Keller denier.
Did you see Flo
got
play
it.
the clip this morning of a guy that was a kid that was blind playing football? It was crazy.
I've seen a blind dude that's teaching blind people to ride bikes by making a clicking sound, and they're allegedly doing this bat sonar by
Yeah.
clicking while they're riding bikes.
We
By
used to ride
sound,
bikes
yep.
with our eyes closed. We'd
Dude,
end up falling in the
you
sewage
know
ditch.
you can open them though.
People.
I know, but it was more
people-
fun to navigate with your eyes
There
closed.
are random people, like very rarely, that there are people that can rely on sound to maneuver around.
Yeah, like my
shit,
son.
Just Frank has entered the chat. We have Busker on the panel. Just
Frank!
This shit's
My-
about to go down.
My son can hear fleas fucking at 500 yards.
Yep.
That ain't no lie there. We have to keep everything on a minimal sound wise because his hearing is so escalated.
Dude,
It's
I
crazy.
feel like I'd be a bastard if I had autistic kids because I'd be testing them for like Professor Xavier abilities. I'd be like, maybe he can stop stuff with his mind. Let's throw bricks at him and see if he does something.
Weaponize that autism.
He'll stand there. If you throw a brick at him, he'll stand there.
Jeff
like-
doesn't have favorites. I have people that I hate all equally, but I don't.
But it's
That's right.
easy, like
I don't have
like
favorites.
on
I love
Rain
I
Man,
love all of you.
whenever the chick spills the toothpicks and then he like counts them before they hit the ground, it's like obviously. But how else would you find out they have things like that unless it was something? I'd be like, let's electrocute him. Let's see if he catches on fire.
Let's lobotomize him. Let's see what happens.
Well, I tried to get him to watch Rain Man so he would learn how to count cards, but he wasn't interested.
No, that's what I'm saying. They have it like naturally. I guess it's called an idiot savant.
Yeah, savantism.
So you'd have to like discover it, like a mutant power.
But it's like I think it shows that it's pretty obvious what happens to.
Chuck, cam up and throw your kid off the roof, and let's see if he can fly.
No, dude.
He would probably let me. Is the sad part.
Yeah.
I don't have
But
favorite. I'd have to. That's work trying to rank the people here. I don't do that.
In other areas, he's a pinball wizard. There ain't no doubt
Yep.
about it.
Yes, sir. That's like I
Are
tell
you one of
Hank.
those
I'm like,
pinball
Hank,
wizard
I'm
type of
sure
autist.
you're like
Hank,
master of your logistics job, but here on the panel verse, shut the fuck up. Shut up, Hank.
Oh, is Hank
I
around?
know.
No, that's
still
just
wa-
I'm pretending he's here.
Oh,
I still want to cry.
Illuminati, I don't have to shut up just because you said I do. How long do I have to shut up for, Illuminati?
I still want to cry from whipping my boy when he was young.
you didn't
What'd you
know
do?
though, Chuck. Like
I know,
that's
but
just that's just how
it's
y'all
still-
did things back then.
I still get teary eyed.
Well,
I
wait a
mean-
minute, Chuck. How hard did you whip him?
I didn't beat the child. I just gave him
Uncle
swats
Fatty
on the
doesn't
butt.
watch Judge Wapner.
You didn't.
But-
Fatty doesn't watch Judge Wapner.
But
Doesn't
after we-
watch Judge Wapner.
One of
it
those.
was-
Did you use one of those sticks on his butt?
No,
Well, there
No.
you go, man. It's not bad. If you spank him, that's nothing. That's no bad.
Oh, you feel bad? You said you feel bad for spanking him. Okay.
yeah, because I
Ain't
did,
no major organs in the ass cheeks. Chuck.
and he did, but he didn't understand. He had no
Yeah.
comprehension of
He's
why
over
he
it.
was getting whooped.
Well,
And when
yeah,
I
I know
found
how
out,
he has
it-
good- does
I
he
can
have-
almost cry now. I'll be honest with you.
Does he
No,
have?
I did. Like, whenever I broke those 3 bones that New Year's, and fell asleep.
I
in the
remember that, Tommy.
Yeah, I fell asleep in the emergency room, and
Oh,
my neighbor had brought Camacho up to the apartment before he took me to the emergency room. So when I got home in the morning, Camacho like crept out down the hallway like he had been in trouble all night because I didn't come back, and I felt bad.
well, what happened? What happened, Tommy?
I slipped on the ice and I broke my collarbone, 2 ribs, flapped the lung,
Oh,
and
Yeah, you were
whenever I went
tore
to the
up on that one.
yeah, and whenever I went to the emergency room, they gave me a little cup of pills and they let me pass out. And I woke up like at 8 or 9 the next morning. I was like, why did you let me sleep in the emergency room all night? I was livid. I was like, can I get the fuck out? They're like, you're not hostage here, sir.
And
They're
then
like,
he
they
shows
wanted
up
like,
on Paul Unslaved. Oh, that was
dude,
something else.
that's the way I acted after my last surgery. I acted very irate, but I think it was the drugs.
well, I can see the transition in the medical industry. It's no longer compassion. You're just gonna be a number
That's
because
right.
I broke 3 bones, collapsed a lung. They didn't even prescribe me Tylenol 3. Like they just
Well,
gave me some pills to be there.
Well,
And the,
do you
and the
remember
guy that took my
Tylenol 4,
X-rays was
Tommy?
just kind of tossing me around and stuff. And I was going, slow, slow. And he was like just pulling me into positions and crap.
was it like the physical therapy or whatever, trying to?
No, no, it was just getting X-rays when I came in injured. He's just like
Oh,
pulling my
fuck,
arm up and shit.
shit, dude.
But in
Yeah,
hindsight,
they treat my mom like that, man. She's got lung cancer and fucking fractured ribs, and they make her worse. They give her bruises on her arms, like trying to roll her around and grabbing onto her arms and shit. It makes me sick, dude. And
they
there's
say,
nothing.
Well, I
go
remember,
to sleep, Rebel,
I
go to sleep.
remember my dad broke his arm in a car wreck. And after a few weeks,
Hey,
they realized it didn't go into position right. So they wanted to re-break it. And I had to hold him down so they could
that's why I
re-break his
wish I
arm.
never went. Like, I needed the x-rays to know that it was fine, but my neighbor had actually, because I told him to put his foot against my ribs and pull my arm out. And he said I took a big inhale and was breathing easier. He
Oh,
he set he set my ribs and my collarbone perfectly. And then when they
wow,
did the x-rays, they
wow.
when
You
when they
should
did
like.
the x-rays they were like, well, we don't have to reset your bones because they're back in place. And I was like, oh yeah, my neighbor pulled it in. And they go, you guys did that? We're
You
like,
should
yeah. We're like,
write
yeah,
a.
it's fine.
You should write a review for him on the internet, dude. That's fucking crazy.
Well, it was
I,
just because I told he was a combat medic with spec ops,
Yeah,
but
well, that's
but
still
he
cool.
was wrecked. Like he was trying to get all daddy with me, like his son was with him, and I was their friend, and he was all distraught because this isn't combat. This is like his friend all fucked up, and I fucking got all me on him. I was like, "Shut up!" I was like, "I need you to grab my arm because I was hurting, and he's all trying to do shit that's
Tommy,
I
irrelevant."
remember
uh,
2016, my last back surgery, and I had a nurse that did me wrong, and I wanted to report her. And the hospital administrator, the CEO, had to come in and talk to me
yeah,
Yeah.
because, and they fired her on the spot.
hell yeah, hell yeah. Hey, Tommy, were you in the military?
Just for basic and AIT.
Is that where you broke your ribs?
No, no.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
I
misunderstood.
was just
Was you
walking my dog on New Year's,
was you
and
Section 8, Tommy?
no, there was some shit that happened with my family that they pulled me out of AIT, and I just had to
Ah,
wait.
gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
so I had to wait like 2 years to go back, and I was 18, so I wasn't like 2 years later. I was a different person.
Yeah, I had to get out of the military on a hardship discharge when my dad had his stroke because
Hmm.
I was the only one that would take care of him. Nobody else
Dude,
cared to.
sometimes
So
people get out because like they get an acting offer in Hollywood, and even the military's like, we're not gonna keep you from that. If you want to go, you can go.
well,
Hey,
shit, I
Chuck.
can remember
Oh
being
man,
in that movie with Bill Murray and didn't get paid for it.
what you were in a
Strike.
movie with Bill Murray?
Two of them.
You were like
Were you in Strike?
like one of the
Stripes was the first one, and then the second one
you
was
weren't like
called Larger. larger than life, but at the time, the name of the movie was called Double Nickel.
Were you
Huh.
like an extra or something?
Well, in
Like,
Stripes, we
what did
weren't.
you do? What
I
did
was
you?
in basic training for Stripes, and they were using actual
Oh shit! So they used you
footage.
for that movie.
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude! You gotta like make video of exactly where you are, because my dad would get a kick out of that. He'd
Oh, good luck finding me.
he'd
Out
love
of
that stuff.
10,000 people running up a hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when you got it's like a big cloud. Yeah.
It was called Tank Hill, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Where is Mike? Did Mike leave?
Why you want to know?
Because I love Mike.
Because now
I
you
love
can't
Mike like
complain
a
about him
brother.
anymore.
No, I
You
thought he
just
was in
gave
South
up your right to
Carolina.
bitch and complain about Mike now that you
No,
asking
I thought
for
he
it.
was. I thought he was in South Carolina. I thought
Uncle
maybe he
Fatty,
moved.
I'm pretty sure that an angel suplexed me because it was an impossible injury that it was unlike me, and it was like
It
otherworldly
was
the way the physics
the
work.
white gorilla got you.
No, it's what it is I've always been sure-footed. Like I've been a skateboarder, snowboarder. I hiked a lot as a kid, did trampolines and stuff. I'm just walking my dog in the snow, like down a street, and there was ice under the snow. And I just walking, and he's not on the leash. I'm just walking, and I slipped and did like a pratfall, like a theater pratfall, where if
Damn.
I had inverted 2 more degrees, I probably would have snapped my neck and died because I
Well, that's what
remember
happened
feeling
to
like this
Jerry
rubbery.
Lewis.
Dude, that's awful, man. Like you see snow and you think it's just snow, but then there's ice beneath it and you're just like slip.
Right, but I don't even fall very often on ice, and this put my feet above my head to where my shoulder and my head landed first, and I did have a mild concussion. Um,
Well, it was
I
the
think
perfect camouflage, the snow over top the ice, you know. You
right, but the speed I was walking and the step,
yeah,
I don't see
that's
why I'd totally invert Jerry Lewis style.
yeah, dude.
Do you remember what movie it was where the opening credits, he's in a room where there's like no friction on anything and he can't stay in a seat or it's crazy.
That's
I've always been looking for that. I can't remember what that movie was.
that sounds like
What's
the
the movie?
Twilight
I don't
Zone.
remember the name, but at the beginning credits, he's in this 70s style room with all this glossy furniture and stuff, and it's like zero friction. And he just does this gag the whole time of like he can't hold on to anything, he can't stay in a chair. He's just like
It wasn't a
sliding
gag.
all over. Huh?
It wasn't a gag.
What
He
year? What
actually
year
hurt
did it come out?
himself.
What year did you see it?
It would have been mid '60s,
Oh,
So
I
he
think.
can't
And I saw it in the 80s, of course.
he can't even sit in a chair. He's like he just can't hold on
Yeah,
to.
it's definitely a bit.
That sounds like MS to me, dude. But
Multiple
And
it's
then,
not. It's probably like mocking MS, but like it's probably not
No, it's the room looks
a
shiny and
neurological
glossy
problem.
and stuff. And he like sits down and then he like slumps and slides out of the chair and then he tries to get up off the floor and he
What is
just
he
does like
is he
it's
falling
all
asleep in the
slippery and stuff.
chair? Is he stoned? What's wrong with him?
well, you know the
Nothing's
movie
wrong
he
with him.
made that never got released, don't you?
No.
Send in the clowns.
But Uncle Fatty, the reason I say this is because I was getting ready to leave this apartment and moving too fast for God where he had plans for me and
The
uh
hell was that?
like Chuck said, it kept me in place for a while. And I can see why. Like I've accomplished some things that I think God wanted done, and I would have moved on had I not broken
Oh,
this.
Tommy, speaking of God, I was disappointed yesterday in Jack when
With
he
me.
said, no, no, with Jack. Jack took credit for himself getting off alcohol
Well,
instead of
I've given him credit. Just I know he went to AA, but a lot of people
well,
can't
doesn't
do it.
don't people get the credit? Like who else does it for but
God.
themselves?
God does it. That's who did it for me.
Well,
I'll tell
I
you,
think it's different for each person. I think you
yeah,
can speak
it,
about your journey and what does
it,
it for you, but to
exactly,
judge somebody else for how they do it.
Well, no, Chuck is right.
exactly,
Because
If
God
you're
is a
temp
concept anyway. Jack's going to have his own conception of the higher
Well, no,
power.
it says that whenever you're like, let's say you don't even have a problem. Let's just say you're tempted to cheat on your wife or something. If you ask God for the out to get out of it, He will give you that, you know?
Yes,
or
So,
sir.
but yeah,
straighten
I'm sure Jack is being a pompous, arrogant asshole, and in
And
about
I
40 minutes,
wasn't
I'm gonna
saying
just
that to
fuck
But
with
make
him.
an
Chuck, it's not like
argument,
you
Jeff.
like Jack if he didn't say that. You're suddenly like you don't
No,
like Jack for reasons related to your opinion of how he
well,
does his
But
recovery, and
Jack
that.
is an asshole.
he gave God credit before, but now he's taking the
But
credit.
why are you the AA police that goes around policing how people? I thought that like one
I
of the
don't
principles
know.
is that they
Call
don't do that with
call
each
me
other
stupid.
because
He's not being
everyone's on their
AA
own
police.
journey.
We do hate Jack.
Right. I
I was
wish I would
just
be more honest about it and
Why
stop
don't
trying to
you
make it
hate Jack?
about these virtuous things
like
that
a
it's not the real
deity,
reason.
like a
is
deity
it
that
virtue? It might be, Jeff. That's why I'm here
So
to learn.
I also gave my piece of shit Missouri roommate in college, I gave him credit. He stopped smoking cigarettes cold turkey. I was
there
like,
you go.
wow,
Yeah,
not a lot of people do that.
that's fucking hardcore, dude.
It is. And he used to get so drunk that he forgot he got taken to the hospital and was swinging on nurses and got arrested until that bill came in the mail. And then oh shit, the bill came. He was like, I forgot to tell you, I was swinging on people in the emergency room. And he ended up there because his friend that was driving him had to like he was grabbing the steering wheel and pulling it and stuff. So his friend pulled over, was like fighting him to try and keep him in line to like drive more. And that's whenever he ended up getting taken to the hospital, swinging on nurses and shit. He forgot all that until the bill came in the mail for it. And he quit smoking cold turkey.
Thank you, Jeff.
Wait a minute, did he quit while he was drinking like that, or however fucked up whatever he was on? Was he still smoking, or was he done
Hold on a second.
before he did that?
If you're talking to me, I can't hear you. I'm pouring water.
Did he
I
quit
want.
smoking before or after the incident,
Um,
or whenever?
I mean, just while we were roommates, he quit.
Well, that's
I
pretty
just remember him
good
saying he
because
wanted to quit cigarettes, and he did. And I was like, wow.
that's like you
Yeah,
gotta have
I
a
think he still smokes weed and shit.
you gotta have a certain personality, and to be able to smoke weed and not have that trigger your want for a cigarette.
Right.
Uh,
Same with drinking. Drinking usually
yeah.
makes people want to
yeah,
smoke.
drinking.
I want to thank you, Jeff. You brought back something to my mind. My dad wasn't, even though he was a drunk, he wasn't an alcoholic. He was an alcohol abuser. And one day I gave him an ultimatum,
Uncle Fatty got it. That
so
movie.
he quit
Disorderly
drinking.
Order.
But the thing was, there was nothing wrong with his life before or after drinking, if that makes any sense. He was just an
Well, it
alcohol
probably helped
abuser.
his health, didn't it?
What how old were you when you gave him the ultimatum?
Let's say 85. 25. I would have been
But
25.
nothing really changed.
No, he was always a happy-go-lucky person, sober or drunk, and his life wasn't a mess.
Yeah.
That sounds like
Uh,
my dad.
I
Oh,
know
oh,
alcoholics like
oh.
that, the functional
But
alcoholics.
but
Yep,
let me
that's
say on the
exactly
cigarette
like my
thing.
dad.
Uh,
Exactly.
Cowboys and Native Americans just smoking tobacco leaves, that's not as hard to quit as these chemical laden cigarettes. That's
oh
the whole
yeah,
point
they
of all
put
the chemicals.
additives in there.
Yeah.
But
Oh
the
yeah,
nicotine molecule itself is highly addictive.
dude.
Right,
Nicotine.
but all the if you don't even read the chemicals, you just get tired of scrolling the list of words,
How do you
and
find that?
those are also highly
Tommy,
addictive.
how do you find the list of chemicals in Marlboros, dude? Because I need to know what the fuck's in them. Because I
Try
can't
Google.
smoke
There's
anything.
They
No, but
use 600 different additives
Yep.
in cigarettes.
well, Marlboro's this one. I cannot smoke any other cigarette and feel like I've fucking have that fixed.
Did
that
you know that GPCs are just Marlboro tobacco that was on the floor and was swept up?
Yeah, old tobacco.
The GPC? What
Generic
The
packaged
old
cigarette.
gold package thing, or blue, whatever color it was.
the GPC? I don't even know what the fuck that is, dude.
Generic. It stood for
It was
generic
just a
something.
big GPC on the package, and it was a
Oh,
brand
Yep.
cigarette.
just generic fucking cigarettes like Jack's or
Oh, now that
Doral
you said
or
it, you remember? Yeah.
Doral or some junk like that. That my mom and you used to love Doral.
And I know this shit because I technically worked for Philip Morris whenever I made Capri Sun, and that's why they changed it to Altria, so you don't think Philip Morris. It's Altria.
Mhm.
Shit.
That's a fact.
You know, it's all B system.
Yeah. Smoking.
Yes.
Well,
Second
are
time
we
you
doing
say it,
games
maybe.
tonight? Again?
You
What
guys are
game?
playing-
Who
Hey,
won
Bex.
last night, Jeff?
Yeah,
I
it
fell
was fun.
asleep. Who won?
There was no clear winner because there was some technical glitches with the game. But
Nobody
Spike
wins in the Panelverse.
was the de facto winner.
Now wait a minute. Is this on what's that called? The other kind of thing that you can get on and communicate.
Dream. Or what do they call it? I can't even think. Steam, wasn't it?
I don't know where. I think maybe I don't know. It was some app. I don't know what site it was on. There's
Well, did you
hundreds of
see
them out there. It was
Steam
some
just put
computer
out
version of Monopoly.
Steam just put out a message to all their users that just because you buy the game from Steam, you don't own it.
Yeah. A lot of that
Of
went
course
down with
not.
Ubisoft.
They're fucking. It's like you'll own nothing and be happy.
Yep.
You
You'll
can
rent it.
rent. You can rent the game forever, but you can't.
Own it.
Well,
Yeah, that's
no,
why
it can just disappear. They can just take the game offline and it's gone.
they've done that to a couple here recently.
Yeah, it happened
Just
with a lot of
took them
Ubisoft.
offline.
They did it just because they needed
You can
the server
can you still
space
buy the
for
hard
newer
copy?
games.
No.
No,
It's all
there aren't
digital?
hard copies anymore.
Hard copies are hard to come by. Bro.
And if you had the hard copy of the game, it still wouldn't work because even when you have hard copies today, you still have to like use it like a download. You're just buying the hard copy for what you're doing online with it. So they're just that's why I'm not mad to be out of the gaming industry because it's going to shit. They're crashing it.
My son
Well, they do
had
that
a
with movies
Microsoft
too nowadays.
story mode, and they
music.
completely shut the server down. Even though he's got the hard copy, without the server, you can't play
I think
it.
I'm getting dropped.
What?
It might be me, Tommy.
Well, I'm gonna wrap up anyway and take a break and come back.
Wrap
later.
it up.
Maybe do
I'll
some
see you
games.
guys at the Jack train wreck.
Oh, is that happening now? And Kane is also still live, so I'll post his channel
Yeah.
again if you want a panel. Let's see.
All right. Later, Jeff.
Take care, Chuck. I'll be out
Thank you.
later. It was good to see you.
All right. You
And,
too, bro.
There's another panel if somebody's looking for one. All right, everyone. It was fun. And we'll have more fun later. We'll do some games. Maybe Avalon. Maybe Powers Monopoly if I could find a Monopoly board or somebody has an actual Monopoly game that can move the pieces around for us. We'll come up with something. There's tons of games. If anybody knows Tabletop Simulator and wants to try to teach me Cosmic Encounter, that's another option. All right. See you later. Have fun today on your weekend. And I'll catch you at the next one. Bye. Bye, boo.